Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of art. It's the Tenet Podcast. I'm Todd Pearson, coming to you from the 40 West Arts District in Lakewood, Colorado, and joining me from his art bunker in Rapid City, South Dakota. You know him as quite possibly the most interesting man in the world, the inflappable Wes Brown.
Hey, Todd, how you doing, my friend? Oh, my inflappable. I like that. That's a new one.
Yeah. Well, you know, I always got to come up with these ways to describe quite possibly the most interesting man in the world.
That's awesome. I love it. Hey, how was your day? It's great. We're recording on a Saturday, by the way, just for the listeners, just for fun. Yeah, it's a beautiful day out.
It looks beautiful. The sun was out this morning. We've been getting rain pretty regularly the last few days, so that's been kind of nice. Good for my garden. Have my garden in.
Nice.
And yeah, it's a lovely holiday weekend.
That's right. It's Memorial Weekend. Yeah, I sat out on the porch this morning having coffee and just listening to the birds chatter. They were loud this morning, but that's all right.
I love hearing the birds.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that's for sure.
Because I live in an older neighborhood with a lot of, mature trees, we get a ton of birds.
Nice.
And I never had appreciation for it really until my sister, who lives in a newer neighborhood up north of Denver and Erie, she was like freaking out. She was like, man, like, is it always like this full of birds and all these birds chirping and singing their songs? And I'm like, I didn't think about it, but I'm like, yeah, it is always like this.
Yeah.
Isn't it like that up at your place? And she's like, no, we never hear any birds. And I was like, wow, I feel really fortunate that I get to hear that every day.
Yeah, no, that's great. And we don't have a lot of species of birds up here. It seems like that's usual 6. And then I miss squirrels. We don't have any trees in our yard. So, and really I don't see many squirrels on my side of town. They're all west side squirrels. Evidently the east side squirrels moved away. I don't know.
Or they chase the east side.
Maybe that's
siders out.
That's right.
The west side squirrels run the town.
Run the town. Yeah.
Well, I got a plethora of rabbits. I know you love rabbits.
Yeah, I do.
And I know you have rabbits too, but I have a plethora of squirrels. So if you want squirrels, you're welcome.
Maybe I should trap some and bring them back.
Because pretty soon, yeah, you can have them all. Pretty soon they'll be in my garden, and that irritates me.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the little shitheads, they come in and they'll like grab a tomato and they literally will just take like 1 or 2 little bites out of it and then dump it.
Right, right.
I would feel better if they just ate the whole thing,
right.
But when they just take like a bite out of it and then they boogie, yeah, that's it.
They're so wasteful.
Yeah, damn squirrels.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Oh,
all right, we got some art today, though, don't we?
We do have some art. Super excited for today's interview. Thank you for joining us. Remember, you can always find out what we're up to via our social media on Instagram at Tenet Podcast, on our Tenet Podcast Facebook page, and of course, our website, tenetpodcast.com. We've been a huge fan of our next guest's work for a couple years now. He's a thinker, a tinkerer, and an art nomad. You can check out his spectacular work at his website, mickburson.com, and follow him on Instagram at Mick Burson. Mick, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing wonderful.
So first off, I was out and about last evening, and I happened to go to the art district where I'm recording from. And who should I see manning Nick's gallery last night but our good friend Dan Drossman.
Beautiful. I knew that was coming. How is he doing?
He's doing very well. He just got back from New York, where he was working with the artists out there, learning more about how to do murals and painting walls. He said that he misses you. He sends his love, and that he would like you to call him at some point when you get a free moment.
I will give him a call. He introduced me to the bathhouse live. Like bathhouses, like spas.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he's the first person. He came to Albuquerque to visit, and he's like, we got to go to a spa. And so we went to a spa, and that is the move.
I've never done a spa. I've had massages but I've never done like the full blown on spa thing.
It's spectacular. And it's not something I normally would have done, but like that's what he does regularly. And we were like chilling in a sauna. There's ice baths. It was perfect.
That's a unique experience that you've had with Dan, because he's never mentioned this to me in the time that I've known him, and I've never gone to a spa with him. So I will have to ask him about that.
You should ask him.
I think Dan is just waiting for the right moment, Todd, to invite you to a bathhouse.
That could be.
It's going to be a special moment for the two of you.
Knowing Drossman, it'll be a special moment. It'll be something wonderful and weird, I'm sure.
He's beautiful. He's a magnificent human.
Yeah. Just
We're
a lovely human being. Wes and I have both been able to spend some quality time with him, and he's my go-to guy. If we're going to go gallery hopping, I always give him a call and try to hook up and go see some art. So
he's really like he moves through life pretty efficiently, I feel like. Like when we were in Denver, he's just like, "All right, you can come with me. We're going to do this, this, and this." And like what would take me an hour, we're done in like 15 minutes. And I appreciate efficiency, and he's got that. So
I never thought about Dan in those terms, being efficient, but you're right. Yeah. He's pretty thoughtful, pretty intentional in what he does. So spa, you've never been to a spa, Wes Brown?
I have not. My wife has, but I haven't. And she's, like all women, they're like, "Hey, why don't you come and do the spa with me?" And I'm like, no, I'd rather stay here.
So I hadn't thought about this in years until Mick mentioned it, but I had a client one time give me a gift certificate. I don't even know if they're still around, but there was this Russian spa that you could go to, and you would do the whole spa thing. And then one of the things they would do is you would get like a little massage or whatever, if I remember correctly, but they would have, and I can't remember what kind of tree it was, but they had these branches that they would kind of like flog you with. I hadn't thought about that in years, but yeah.
I think I remember you going, because I think we had a discussion about that.
Yeah. It was a weird experience. I mean, interesting and not in a bad way, but just, I never experienced that. People hitting you with tree branches.
Not since you were a kid anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Todd, the next time in Denver, maybe we'll do a spa day together. We'll go do a salt bathhouse or something where they have salts.
We'll call up Dan and say, "Look, man,
hook us up.
Mick's been doing spa stuff with you. We haven't experienced that. Let's do it."
All right.
So what have you been up to, man? I haven't seen you in a couple of years. So
a while.
Yeah. Talk about what you've been up to.
Do you want me to take it back? Maybe it's because it's probably been like 2-3 years, probably.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. A couple of years at least.
I think I was probably out of school, living in Albuquerque. Sorry, my dog is snoring in the background.
That's fine. He'll be fine.
Okay.
We're dog friendly here.
She's running over there. So I was in Albuquerque, and then the person I was with at the time, we bought an RV together. It's like this October would have been 2 years that I've had the RV. And we went and lived on the road for a while. We lived in Venice Beach for a while during that time period. And then I was back in Albuquerque. And then after we separated, I had the RV. And so then I've lived back on the road for like maybe a year now. And then in between all of that is like painting and making stuff and just trying to get like work done in whatever setting that I find myself in, which is always different. Like right now I'm in Los Angeles right now. I got here 2 days ago. I'm going to be here for 6 weeks, and I have some work I need to make for a show coming up. And I'm out here doing a separate project, but I'm begun like collecting stuff, and I'm being patient with myself. It's just like, like just collect right now. Just collect. It doesn't have to make sense. And that work, it'll happen. It'll happen.
So a few years ago, my wife and I talked about selling our house and buying an RV and kind of being working remotely. It didn't pan out that way, which is fine. So are you self-sufficient in just selling art? Is that how, or do you get jobs when you get to a new community, or what, how do you manage that?
Yeah. Yeah. I live off of my work. Been doing it for like, I just turned 33 the other day, like a week ago. And I started doing it, or started surviving off of it when I was like 21. So it's been like 12 years, and I do sell work through galleries. But the biggest majority is painting murals. So I would have like savings, and then I would kind of live, and then every now and then I'd like catch a small job painting a wall. Yeah, it's not stable, but it's got me here. But yeah, I guess on the road it would be like long breaks of like leisure and wandering, and then kind of like, gotta go find a job, gotta find a project to do. I've recently went back to Texas for quite a few months, and when I go back there, I tend to get some walls to paint. So I did that for a while.
So when you're doing murals, are they like private residence murals, or are they public spaces, or?
No, it's not too many private. I just did a hotel in Dallas. This, like, I guess it's been the last month. It's been very busy. Did a hotel in Dallas, did a wall in Austin. It's outside of a gallery. And then I did a hotel in Bryan College Station. So lots of driving, lots of like weird sleeping arrangements, lots of 12, 15-hour painting days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that standard for you when you're doing a large project or wall, 12, 15-hour days?
Yeah, I'll get obsessed with it. And I'm just like, I try to like maintain like health. But then sometimes when I'm like working, I'm just like, no, just keep pushing it. And I just burn myself out. But then after, those days, then I'll like recoup, buy some more vitamins, get some more sleep. But yeah, in those moments of painting, I just very much lose myself. And I'm just like, we got to keep going, because I just become obsessed with it. But I do have a dog now, and I think that she helps create a balance, because I can't just straight burn myself out. I have to like tend to her, take her on walks, make sure she's taken care of, entertain her, thank her for being there. So it forces me to take breaks, which is, I think, helpful for the wall, for me, for her.
What kind of dog you got?
She's a Catahoula mix. So she's like she might hop up here a little bit later. Kind of looks like a greyhound.
Oh.
Yeah. She's got 2 blue eyes. She's
Nice.
beautiful. Yeah.
We rescued a greyhound a number of years ago. So I have an affinity for those. I love those dogs, but yeah, so that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. She's a sweetheart. Got her like 4 months ago. We found each other in Little Rock.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a travel companion, right?
It really is. And I mean, I could not have asked for a better dog. She's patient. She just like wants to be next to me and wants to be loved. And I'm like, great. I just want to be next to you, and I just want to be loved. We're on the same page about a lot of things.
Nice.
So you're zooming in from someplace outside of LA today. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm in Topanga Canyon, which is it's like next to Malibu.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Along the PCH. Yeah.
Nice. You said that you have a show that's coming up, but you're also working on a project while you're there for the next 6 weeks. Can you talk a little bit about what you're working on without giving too much away? Can you talk about that?
A tiny, tiny bit. I talked to the guy. So it's me and a few other people are working on this project. And it's not secretive for the fact of being secretive. I think like he was just like, well, the least information you can give, the better. We've been working on this thing for like 5 years, and the element of secret of this, like, it's hard to say. I brought it up to him yesterday because I was like, hey, I'm going to be on this podcast. What can I say and not say? And he didn't want me to say anything.
So is Tom Cruise usually difficult to work with? I'm just kidding.
You're right. I know.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but we've been working on it for quite a while.
So what, once again, without giving anything away, so why 5 years? Why is it taking us so long? Is it just concept wise, or?
Yeah, the scope of the project, it's huge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. and it involves a bunch of different artists, bunch of working parts.
Oh, okay, cool.
I wish I could tell y'all more because I don't like being elusive. But
Right. No, and we won't dig too deep. But I do have a question. Do you have an end in sight, or like another 5 years, 2 years?
no, we're thinking maybe like within a year. We're hoping that everything will be complete and be like ready for public view.
Nice.
Gotcha. Well, I think what we should do, because we've laid the groundwork of this mystery, is maybe we'll have to check in with you and see what happened, what Tom Cruise released to the world.
I'm curious as to what's going to happen as well. So,
so when you say it'll be presented publicly, does that mean it's going to be in some kind of gallery, or it's going to be your own?
It won't be my own thing, but it will be in like a gallery museum sort of setting.
Nice.
Okay.
I'm looking forward. Now my interest is piqued. Along with everybody else.
And then you have an exhibition that you said coming up, and you're starting to do work for that.
Yeah. It's a 2-person show in Albuquerque at Richard Levy Gallery. It's going to be me and Laura Burke. So it's a 2-person show, which is great. And I drop off work for that on the way out of LA. So I got 6 weeks to make some stuff for that show. And then I'll drop it off on the way back to maybe Texas.
When does that open?
I'm not sure.
All right. Another elusive date. That's
no,
all right.
On purpose. I live like a month at a time. So I just know the next deadline.
I'm just kidding.
Maybe August, sometime in August.
Okay. So you have a little bit of time.
I do, yeah. I just got to get to work there probably like a month before the opening. And I'll be here until July or so.
Is that typically the way you roll? You said you live like 1 month at a time. Do you get kind of lost in the whole big picture thing if you get to yourself kind of like mentally spread out a little bit? So that's why you kind of distill it down to like, this is what I got to concentrate and do like right now.
I think so. And I mean, I think for like sometimes people that are really organized, it's really aggravating. They're just like, come on, Mick, we need this, we need these deadlines, or like we need, which I would say I'm excellent at making deadlines. Just the planning stage. It's just like, okay, well, if you tell me where you need me to be at this time, I'll be there. I'm not sure how. I'm not sure like the route that I'll take, but like if we agree that I'm going to be somewhere with some work, I'll be there. But yeah, I just kind of take it like I know what I'm doing this afternoon. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow.
I love that though.
I love
that you live like that. I can relate to that because I am not a big picture guy. I got to just I got to think about what I need to get done like right now. If I start thinking about all the things that I have to do, I will just literally lose my shit. Like I just can't keep it together. I get nothing done. So I'm a big to-do list guy, and I try to keep it real simple to cross that off and feel like I've accomplished something and got something done.
So your to-do list, Todd, it's only like what immediately I need to do. You don't have like a long-term to-do list? Because I know you're a list guy, so I just assumed you had a 6-month list, a year list. No.
Okay.
Okay.
It's what immediately needs to get done within the next day, maybe the next couple days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think much further than that, which I can relate to Mick and how, other people might drive them crazy, because I think I drive my wife crazy and other people crazy in that aspect. But yeah, that's the way I pretty much roll.
Nice.
Yeah. My mom was like concerned with my retirement plan the other day. I'm like, gotta make sure I can make it out to LA tomorrow. Like, we don't need retirement right now.
You're living your retirement plan. That's the thing. Like everybody else is waiting to turn 65 to do what you're doing. You're doing it now.
I feel like I might be living life backwards. Like I got the RV, I retired, and then I got the RV, and then I got the vehicle. I think it might be going backwards.
The Benjamin Buttons of life.
Yeah.
You just stole my line there, Wes Brown. I love that. Why not live the life that you want to live now? Like Wes said, then, like a lot of people, they push it off. And then by the time they're at that point to, enjoy retirement, whatever the hell that means, they're old. Your body's starting to break down
Sure.
and you just never know what happens. So I appreciate the way that you live your life. I became originally familiar with your work, like I said, through our friend Dan when he was curating that space, the waiting room down in Rhino here in Denver. And I absolutely fell in love with it. Like I said in the intro, I'm a huge fan. When were you first infected with the art bug?
I mean, it's been forever, I guess. Been drawing since I was a child. I've always drawn. Yeah, it's kind of just, I mean, even when I was a child, I was like, I'm going to be an artist. And that was my goal. And it was, I think, either an artist or soccer player, but like I went with an artist, I guess. And I think that like that was, it is a beautiful, it's a very simple dream as a child. You're like, I'm going to be an artist. Now I'm like, oh, I'm an artist. Like it's wonderful. It's just the full array of emotions and experiences. But I grew up drawing, and then I started kind of to graffiti when I was like 14, 15. And that's when I created like a practice for myself where it was just like all day, every day. And I did that for like, I think I just like drew for like a summer straight or something like that, like 6 months straight, just did nothing but draw. And I fell in love with it. It gave me this satisfaction that I was looking for in the world. And I was like, wow, it's like self-satisfaction. And so then I just chased that. And I just started painting on surfaces. But like the studio work was much later, or like the work that I show in galleries. I think that was like probably like 20s, 18. But I painted outside for like, I don't know, probably a good 5 years before I made anything like that, which is great because I think it's like, especially with spray paint, everybody sucks at first. It's just like this equalizer. Like I don't think anybody picks up a spray paint can. They're like, oh, he's naturally good at that. So I sucked for a while, and it was awesome. It's so good. Just the aggravation. You're like, I have this in my mind. This should be able, I should be able to translate this. And it's just like, man, I missed it again. I missed the mark. But those are the best times, just where it wasn't computing back and forth.
Did you have a graffiti mentor? Like when you were a kid, was there somebody that you ran with? And I'm assuming your early years was illegal graffiti on walls and trains and or maybe still is, but.
Yeah, I had a mentor. It was like 3 guys, and still friends to this day. And I was young, and I saw graffiti around town, around Waco, and I was like, I bet I could find these people. And I found them, and I was like, hey, y'all should teach me how to do this. And they're like, no, like stay back. And I'm like, no, I really would love to learn this. And then eventually they taught me how to use spray paint, taught me some like do's and don'ts, and changed my life, right? Because then we painted in the city, and then they were older than me. They had like wives and children, and families. And so then after, we just stopped painting in the city because it's just too small of a town. It's kind of ridiculous. And then I went and started painting trains. I would do that by myself, and I did that for quite a few years. Some of the best. I mean, I feel like years get better and better as you get older, but like that time just, it was good. It was very good.
Sounds magical.
Yeah, I was terrible, but it was pure. It's just,
You hardly see a clean train. Like they're just always tagged, and usually with really horrible graffiti and weird fat letters and that kind of stuff. But every now and then you see something that's like, damn, that's really cool. And obviously the train companies, the railroad companies, they probably frown upon it. So how does the average graffiti artist, I'm not saying about you, but how does the average graffiti artist like do this? Is it a night thing, or how does that work?
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends on the spot you're painting from. It's definitely safer at night. I mean, if you're painting in like a yard, like an active yard, you want to do that at night, I imagine. Sometimes they'll just like leave lines, outside the yard, like on industrial trails. And also, yeah, it's just whatever state you're in, like geographical state. It's always different, but there's a lot, and it's wild. There's just this active community that like, because every single train line, there's so much. And you're like, wow, there's a bunch of people doing this singular activity. Like, go them.
I find it fascinating, even though I would probably never do it. And if I did do it, I'd get caught because I'm stupid. But, it is kind of interesting to look at the art. And I've actually thought, and I know there's other people doing this, it's not an original idea, but I've actually thought about photographing some trains just because of that,
Yeah. Yeah, it's called benching.
Okay.
It's called benching?
Benching, yeah.
Okay.
Probably just from sitting on a bench watching the trains.
Okay.
Yeah. And then like people who like geek out over trains are called foamers. Like you're foaming.
Foaming at the
really?
mouth. You can't wait to get paint on that train car.
Oh yeah, or just trains in general. Just like what a majestic thing, They just float. They float across the landscape.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're pretty loud, but it's just like, to me, it kind of like defies a lot of like advancements in technology. It's like still its thing, and it seems like it would be something would have taken its place, but they're efficient and they move stuff, and like they don't know you're there, and they're just like they got a mission, and they're massive loads on these tiny rails. It's this balancing act.
It is amazing, and I know what you mean. There are a bunch of foamers out there everywhere that they can tell you that different types of trains and cars, and it's just like its own. It's like people that take pictures of birds, right? Birding, or just go bird watch and track all the birds that they see through the course of the season. It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
So these guys that were mentoring you, were they also painting rail cars as well, in addition to walls, or was the rail car thing really kind of your thing when you kind of was starting to spread your wings?
We painted a few trains together. They grew up in West Los Angeles and then made their way to Texas, and so they had that in their background where they painted freights out there. I mean, I think that to like paint a wall versus a train, there's more barriers to cross. It's kind of more of a pain sometimes to paint a train than to go like paint on the side of a building. There's like more planning, and then there's more walking, more exercise, more everything. And so I think it's not as casual. It wasn't as casual of an activity for them to go on that kind of mission rather than just like paint the side of a building somewhere. But I was like young and, like fearless. So I was like, I'll go on those missions by myself. And I learned a lot from them, and I talk to them to this day.
So are they still doing it too? Because they would be a little older, but
no, they don't do it. No, they tattoo, graphic design. Yeah, I'll go back to town and see them, or wherever they live, and I'll see them. And I think I'm the only one from the group that's still that hasn't outgrown it yet. So
does that make you a little sad?
No, that I haven't outgrown it.
No,
that those other guys don't paint anymore.
I don't think so. No, because I think that they're happy with what they do. They're just like they had to like transition their lives because they have families and their priorities are different. But they get it. They still have that thing in them, they see it, like trains or graffiti, and they're just like that feeling. It's a bug almost. Like once you get it in you, you're like, oh no. It's always there for me. The opportunity.
Yeah. So I got a weird question. So have you been driving down the road and then seeing one of your old paintings that you did on a train?
Yeah, yeah. I was staying in Valentine, Texas the other day, which is outside of Marfa, and I met this person at my show in Austin like a week ago, and they were like, "Hey, we have a house. We'll draw you a map." And so I was staying at this house, and then they texted me. They sent me a picture. They was like, "Hey, we just saw one of your trains in Arkansas," and that happens with those. Yeah, with the I've been doing the horse ones recently, and they're pretty like easily identifiable. So I'll get like horse photos from just from all over.
That's cool. So you're still doing trains then periodically.
I'll still do it. Yeah, still do it.
That's crazy. Well, now I got something to watch for because, like you said, your stuff is pretty unique. So I'll definitely, if I do, I'll have my phone ready.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll run it down.
They fly by, just like I don't know. Imagine like a 5-year-old in the back seat being like, "There's a horse," you know. That's what I want. That's the audience I paint for, is like people in the back seat.
That's awesome.
I love that. So going back to kind of your history of, your early days involved with art, were your parents artists at all? Were they pretty supportive?
They were supportive. My mom raised my sister and I growing up. My dad, he was in prison my whole life, which is a positive thing now that I'm older, that she was the primary person in both of our lives. But she was always like super supportive, like whatever you want to do, you can do it. And she made things work. She would make something out of nothing. I learned that from her, and like got some grit from her because she made it happen. She worked at banks. She was like an accountant for a while. She's really good with numbers. She like single mom in the 90s in Waco, like yow,
Yeah, that's hardcore, man. Being a single mom, it's a lot of responsibility, a lot of
imagine, like wow. Yeah, she's like my best friend.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So that maker DNA really comes from your mom.
Yeah, I think there's a maker DNA, and I think there's a rowdy nature that I have as well. That probably comes from my father. This like sweet, I can make things happen, nurturing nature, and like this like boldness that needs to be directed in the right direction. I think that's somewhat of my makeup.
You were born and raised in Texas. You just said that your dad has been in prison pretty much your entire life. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Raised by a single mom. You have a sister. What was it like for you where you grew up? You were born in Waco, is that correct? And then raised in Denton?
No, I moved out to Denton on my own.
Okay.
So I lived in Waco like ages 0 through 20. Then I moved on to Denton. But like during that time, Waco was great. It's its own thing. I don't know. I just watch it. But there's a lot of abandoned buildings, lots of like places to crawl into, lots of things to see. So I just like had a bike and like would just go explore. And yeah, lots of like I was just discovering things by myself, lots of just lingering in abandoned spaces. That was just go and stand in empty buildings. That was my thing.
So very much an adventurous childhood of exploration.
Definitely. Yeah. There's a little bit of like a wild nature that I've always had, but as a child it was like expressed through like defiance and sneaking out and like painting graffiti and childhood versions of it.
How much does the place where you're from and your pivotal years spent there play into who you are as an artist and the work?
It's huge. I mean like the resources that I had or the things that were available to me, and I was making work at that time, those are still things that I reach for, and those are still like ways that I make work. I would find stuff and I would make art out of it from abandoned buildings, and of course like painting abandoned buildings, being outside making work. And I mean, that laid an incredible foundation. That's still what I do. And like the way that my work looks, it always evolves. But there's this foundation that was laid there of some sort of like self sufficiency, but not like individual nature. Like I know I can depend on myself, but I'm not necessarily. I don't ever want to be apart from the world in that way. But I can count on myself to make things happen. So there's that. And there's just like this like maybe a little bit of rawness of making it work. Like, well, we're gonna make this work. Whatever needs to be done. Especially with like walls. I think I've painted some walls that I'm just like, that me being somewhat comfortable with being uncomfortable, that I'm willing to do that has like, I guess, helped my career. Like I'm just like ridiculous wall. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I do it. I'm like, oh man, I agreed to do that whole thing, or I don't know, lost it.
So you tend to jump in with both feet, whatever you're doing.
For sure. That's how I ended up in Topanga. I'm like, I'm on a horse farm right now, and my cell phone doesn't work. And I drove out here from Texas, and I'm like, I got here, I looked around, I was like, man, like, I agreed to be here, and I'm down. I'm like, it's cool being here, but like, what am I doing here? And so it is a lot to jump in with both feet, and I do tend to do that a lot in my life, and then make it work from there. Because I'm out here now, but it, it is. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I'm safe. So then let's just adapt from there.
Sounds like a lovely situation. You pursued degrees in art. What was the catalyst for that? Did you feel like in order to do what you wanted to do, you needed to go get a degree?
No, I don't think so. I think, I mean, originally I went to college. I was dating somebody, and I wasn't really doing anything except for painting trains. And she was like, hey, I'm going to go to college. I'll help you fill out your forms if you want. And I was like, I should probably do that. And so they helped me get in, or they helped me file my forms, and I went to college. And then I moved to Denton, went to college out there. And then that's what originally brought me to Albuquerque, went to grad school out there. And I think college it's a great experience. It's lovely. I think it's benefited my work, but as far as like any job I plan on getting, I'm not gonna like whip out my degree about it. I don't think.
Nobody cares if you have an MFA or not, right? They just want to know that you've done good work before.
Yeah, but like the 3 years that I had to spend getting my MFA, like those were fun times. I had, and incredible advances in everyone's work happened when we were all in that little 24-hour studio, So
Yeah, and if you're in a cohort together, you influence each other, and you just make each other better. I could see where that would be a benefit than, going to some, even if it's just a 4-year degree and all you do is take art classes and don't even pursue a degree.
Yeah.
The fact that you could do some studio time would be huge.
Yeah. Just go for the experience. I mean, it's wonderful.
So outside of having that really awesome art community that you only get when you go to, typically when you go to art school, just like we were talking about, it's one of the few times in your life where you have that close-knit group of people that are all kind of doing the same thing at the same time, right? It's rare that you find yourself, I think, as an adult, or even as a young adult, to be in that kind of situation. Do you think that they prepared you well to be a professional artist, that education?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think every school is different, but I think a lot of people went to school to teach. So I don't necessarily think it was an environment where they set you up for your own like personal career success. I think they could get you degrees in teaching and certificates that would help you maybe do their job at another school. But yeah, I wouldn't say that I felt like I was maybe like set up for success in like my professional career.
That all came through the school of hard knocks of doing it yourself and learning those lessons once you got out.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing shows before I got to school. It's always just kind of been like doing, my career, and then I'm doing school at the same time, sort of thing. So I was painting walls. I mean, obviously, I was living off of my walls when I was in school, and then and like undergrad. So it's always been like, okay, I gotta like do my job, and then also like do the school. But they inform one another, and I mean, I think also there's some of it. It's just like, well, what are you gonna do for the next 3 years? And I'm like, well, that looks like a plan. It's to move to another state and to like have a studio for 24 hours a day. I'm like, let's do that.
Do you think you'd be in the exact same place you are right now had you chose not to go to school and you were just doing your work?
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. There's just so many influences. I mean, not even to say that's like good or bad what I'm doing in my work. I think my work would always, would be different. I don't know if it'd be better or worse, or if that's even a thing. But my work would be different if I didn't go to school. It would look different, probably.
You do a lot of different things. We've been talking a lot about painting rail cars and painting walls, but take a moment and describe all the different things that you do as a multidisciplinary artist.
Well, I probably paint the most. I like building stuff, so I build little sculptures. Went to school for printmaking for a while. I do like relief prints every now and then. I can draw you some funny stuff. A tattoo. Taught myself how to tattoo like 4 years ago, so I do that every now and then. Paint signs, but not necessarily like hand lettering, but I can give you a giant logo on the side of your building, and that's just like from me as a child. I used to like tape projectors to A-frame ladders and like make a couple $100, so I could do that for you. Really good at driving. I drive a lot. Pretty good driver. I'm like an unpaid trucker. Really, that's my job. What else? Yeah, I like make stuff out of found objects, sculptures, printmaking, painting. Yeah, just kind of whatever's possible at the time. It just looks like I made it, but it's just like made out of a different material. It still kind of reeks of Meg.
Whatever strikes your fancy.
Yeah, I think so. And also what I'm able to like have at the moment. Like prints haven't happened in a while because I don't got a printmaking studio. Tattoos have happened recently because that has lined up, location and people. Trains have happened recently because there's like a spot that I like, and sculptures happened because I went and visited a friend who has a metal shop.
So what is the most sketchiest situation you've been in when you've been painting either in a public art scenario or train? I'm going to imagine that the train scenario is probably a bit sketchier than some of the other scenarios, but tell me a story about a sketchy scenario that you were in.
I've definitely had some guns pulled on me.
Really?
By people who misunderstand my intention of being where I'm at. I'm not here to grab your catalytic converter. I'm here to paint a horse on this train, sir. Kind of misunderstanding. Because like there'd be like vast land, and then they'd back up to a junkyard, and there's trains parked right there, and then I'm not on their land, but I'm right next to it, and someone's been snagging their catalytic converters, and I'm there. There's moments where, like in Arkansas, I'd be out there in the middle of the night, and it's like woods, and then you like smell a cigarette, and you're like, ooh, like there's no, like who is smoking around here? And it's not me, so you just know that somebody is within distance of you. Then there's times where like I have like this awareness that somebody is watching me, somebody that maybe lives in the woods, somebody that is around there. but it, I think maybe if they disapprove of what I'm doing, that they would say something rather than take another route about it. Yeah, I think there's just a lot of like moving parts. There's a lot of things that can always happen, and I want it to go peacefully. I want it to be fine. I don't want any like disruption in the world or myself. But you just got to navigate these things. You got to like. There were some people living in the woods in Arkansas, and just bring them coffee and a couple of dollars, and like they would, like a little troll toll. They'd let me go, and I would just paint. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I got into trouble for painting trains. That's probably the sketchiest thing.
Yeah. You've been arrested?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many times you been arrested?
For painting trains?
Yeah.
Twice.
Okay.
Yeah. It's it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah. Is it more like, hey, don't do that anymore, and maybe a little community service or something, or they take it pretty serious?
They take it serious. It's like federal property. So
yeah.
Like, despite my pleas of, like I don't think this is a big deal. And they're like, this is a big deal. Like, well, what do you got for me then? And yeah, that's why I started painting walls, is because like I had a huge bill to pay back to Union Pacific train cards.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that must have looked like for painting a rail car. As far as, I assume that they're charging you for the cleaning and repainting of the car, or they just clean it off. I don't know. You
do it by square foot.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah. But that's why I started painting walls like that. That was a pivotal moment in my life. Like my life was just wonderful because of that. It's a lot of sweat and a lot of adrenaline in the moment, but what became of that is just like, I guess, my career partially.
Yeah. That's fascinating. I'm not going to delve, but when you said painting trains, when Todd asked if you ever been arrested, what, for painting trains? So,
yeah.
But we won't delve. But
no, I mean, so there's so 3 times I've had to like check in, and 2 times were because of graffiti. One time was, so like, quick long story. So they like came to my house trying to pick me up for a graffiti charge, and I wasn't there. So they contacted me and they were very upset. And I was like, I'm not in town, but when I get in town, I'll like check in and take care of this. So then I came back to the town that I was living in, did the thing, turned myself in, bailed out that afternoon. And then there was like detectives that wanted to talk to me about it. And I was like, I have nothing to say about this. So then after I bailed out, I was pulling out of my apartment complex later that day, and I get pulled over, and he arrests me for running a stop sign. And he makes mention to the fact that I did not talk to the detective this morning. So I had to like bail myself back out for running the stop sign. But ultimately I went to court for that, and they were just like, this is silly. And it's like, I was trying to explain that to them, but that was it. Yeah. Just those 3 times, just having to check in.
Yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, they have ways to make your life a little misery.
For sure.
If you don't follow their request, I guess. So
exactly.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So you've been a maker for a long time, and we talk about this a lot with a lot of different artists. What compels you to create?
I mean, it's definitely the experience of creating something. Because for me, it might even mimic like a sped up short version of what life is. So if I'm painting a wall, like nothing's wrong with the wall at first, right? And then I show up and I'm like, oh, I think, I have ideas of what should be there, and then I start painting it, and then I'm like, oh, well, now I have some problems. Now I'm like unsettled because this isn't, because I've begun working on this surface, and it's not yet complete. And then like through that, there's this period of like like fear. We're just like, oh no, what am I doing? Why have I begun this? And then you just got to keep working. You got to keep going. And then ultimately, like, comes for me, like, acceptance of like, I came to this surface with ideas of my own, and I had my ideas, and also there was some other subconscious things that came out as well. And then you like find acceptance at the end of that like, if this was very much out of my control in a sense, like what I wanted to paint is not what's there, but it's I guess what needed to be there or needed to come out of me. That process is really great. Like, to know how to, like, to have the feeling of making a painting is just like, it's one of like the greatest gifts that I have, is like, I know what it feels like to make a painting. But what else? Sorry, what compels me to make? I think it's a nice way to get out of self. I think maybe in this world there's like a lot of like zone out, just like, oh, I'm just gonna go zone out for 5 minutes or zone out for 10 minutes. And they have like apps you zone out on, or TV, or culture, society just promotes the zone out. And I think that for me, it's like, that's a healthy zone out for me, is to do that, to get outside of my head and outside of myself for however long the project lasts, and then to like come back to. It's like a meditative thing. Like, look what I made. Wow. That's interesting. Those decisions, like, I know I made them at some point, but it doesn't feel like I've made this object or this painting.
Most of your paintings, when you start, is it just or walls for that matter, is it a blank canvas in your head, or have you kind of already mapped out what you want it to be?
No, it's usually just, it's usually just blank. Like, I think with me doing some printmaking, I'll build my paintings up in layers. So it's pretty low pressure, like, to begin a painting, you can just like do a rectangle, and you're like, okay, well, what do I feel like needs to be next? And those are all kind of like background things. And then you can build from there. And it's just, it's just paint, which is amazing. If you don't like it, you just like cover some sections of it up. So it's strong, like, like images are really, they can really be something, but it's also just so temporary, because it's just like this liquid color. So I like that. It's just not a big deal.
You've embraced that process. And like, I think every artist, we always have these great ideas that we'd like to see come to fruition. But when you get into it, I know this from being a photographer, I have what I think is going to happen or want to happen in my mind's eye, but then I get on location, because I work a lot on location, as you do. And it totally changes, because what I thought was going to be there, or what I thought it was going to be like, is totally different. Or there was something that, even if I did see the space previous, I didn't anticipate something that, at that moment. And so it has to change, and you have to just kind of roll with it. And you learn how to embrace that part of the process, right?
Definitely. I was talking to a friend yesterday. I was like, I get catfished by walls sometimes, So like, send me a picture. And I'm like, oh yeah, like, that looks great. And then you get there and you're like, looked at the surface and looking at different things, like, oh man, it's different than my expectations of it. But then you're there, you're ready to work. Like, and I think even, those outside, not interruptions, but interjections from like where you're at, like, like the wall brings its own qualities, and I bring my own qualities, and we gotta get along. We gotta figure out what works for both of us.
Yeah, it's a symbiotic relationship, right?
It is. That's the word. Yeah, symbiotic.
That's funny, because you wouldn't think about a wall or a train or even a piece of canvas having this relationship with, like, you think you're in control of it, but you're right. If it's a building that's been there 100 years, let's say, and you're painting over it, there's all sorts of nuances to it, right?
For sure. Yeah. Because I think I use a lot of different things, like negative space in my paintings, or like preserve parts of the wall, because like, I'm not showing up to like plaster something. I'm showing up to like investigate the surface of this thing. Like, I'm trying to like when I'm up and lifts or ladders, and I'm like touching the top of a wall. I'm like, how special is this? Like, I wonder how long it's been since this wall has been touched right here. And like, I just get to like feel the surface of it and like maybe decorate it a little bit, or like see what it feels like at that moment, and then add an addition to it.
When you're painting public places, walls, even train cars, but I would think that train cars are a little bit more permanent. But does it bother you, the impermanence of this creation, this time that you've spent, the blood, sweat, and tears to make something happen that may only last, I don't know, 5 years, say?
No, I embrace that. I love that. A lot of my walls, since I've been doing it for 10 years plus, now it's starting to be like those have gone away. The ones that I did in the beginning, it's beautiful. Like, I was enjoying life. I was behaving. I was like doing all these things while painting this wall, and then people got to enjoy it. It had a life of its own. And no, it's not. Yeah, it's not about like staying or preserving or capturing. I think it's like it's fleeting. It's just like I know they're gonna have a life, and I know that their life's gonna go. They have a lifespan. I have a lifespan. But it was really nice that we like got to spend that moment together, and then the wall it shows that time that we spent together, and then we keep going.
I love that. I love that whole metaphor that, it's got a life of its own. It has a time span. And I love the fact that you embrace that. It's not permanent, and that's okay.
Yeah. Nothing is,
Yeah, exactly. But we think we're going to live forever. When you're young, you think you're going to live forever. You think you do something, you paint a wall or you paint a canvas, you think it's going to last forever, but it doesn't. Right. We have this false sense because of, there's still, let's say, Pompeii, they're finding, stuff painted from before Vesuvius erupted, or great works of art that's, saved in some museum. But those are rare. The vast majority of the stuff just goes away.
Yep.
And it's like relationships, right? It's like relationships. Everybody thinks that their relationship's going to last forever, but they're just temporary as well, but we have this illusion.
Definitely with relationships.
Hey, I want to talk about, you have the distinct honor, and I'm assuming you still hold this like record. You have the largest mural in New Mexico. Is that correct?
That's what they say. Yeah. I've never fact checked it, but I think they did. And yeah, it's big.
It's on this building. Talk a little bit about this. Like, how did that all come about? And it looks huge.
Yeah, it's massive. It's part of a mural fest in Albuquerque, and the people, it's Cachette's Performing Arts Center, and they do dance from all ages. Everybody's welcome, and there's also a theater inside. They're just absolutely incredible people, and I had a meeting with them. In my mind, I was going to paint the front part of it, which would be, I guess, that lower edge. And then, I don't know, just we fell in love with one another during the meeting, me and the group. And then they're just like, you're going to do the whole thing, right? And I'm like, yeah, of course I'm going to do the whole building. And then it was 3 months. It took 3 months. And I was in grad school during this time. So it was in my last year of grad school. So then I turned this project into my thesis project. And there's days they had like a block party one day where there's like 100+ people showed up and all got to paint. And it was all done with brushes, and probably could have used some rollers on some sections, but these brushes, and things like 95 gallons of paint, and it's 14,000 square feet.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And you did this while you're in grad school?
I did, yeah. I used it as my thesis, and you have to give like a lecture over your work. And so then I did it in their theater, because you have to have a location where you can invite your committee and whoever from the public. And so it just happened that they had a stage setting. So then I invited my committee to come see this project that I had done, and then gave my thesis talk inside this space.
Well, that's pretty spectacular. Not everyone can say that where they presented their thesis was where they actually created their work as well, right?
Yeah, no, and it was incredible, like to allow that, to have that many people get the opportunity to paint, maybe for the first time, in like a mural sense. Like, who knows? Maybe five of those people decided that that's what they want to do now from that experience, and then they get to love painting too.
It's really awesome, man.
Yeah.
It was 3 months, and some of those colors are like you have to triple coat them for them to look correct. And so I would do a section and then come back the next week and do a second coat, and come back the next week and do a third coat. And it was wonderful. It was intense. There'd be days of despair, which are amazing. And because at that point you have no choice, the building's been started. I'm not,
Right. You can't just walk away, right?
Yeah, you can complain all you want in the shower, but like you're gonna be out there. I'm gonna be out there the next day doing it again. So like, yeah, do it gracefully. You're gonna have to do it anyway. So
is there a certain paint that's better, or does it depend on the structure?
I mean, this one we used Sherwin-Williams exterior latex. We did some tests on it, and yeah, that's what we went with. It stuck. I when I'm back in Albuquerque and I'm in the A area, I'll go look and it's on it. And it stayed, which is great. And so having done this project, if I do paint corrugated surface and corrugated surfaces for jobs, I'm like, well, we did this and it's still there. And like, it's baking in the sun. So your wall will stay.
Yeah, it's a great portfolio piece for similar jobs, right? Like, hey, I painted this 14,000 square foot building and coated it, some of it multiple times to give it some permanence. Yeah. That's not much more you can say about that, right? Like you did the work.
Yeah, I did do the work. I repeatedly showed up.
You touched on earlier that little bit, I think, that everybody has when they're in the midst of a project, when they're starting a project, but kind of that fear, that anxiety. Even after you've been doing a large scale project such as this, or all the other work that you've done, that still is something that's part of what you deal with as an artist. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love it. I mean, like I had it recently. I was doing a show in Austin, and it almost feels like when I was younger and I got in trouble for something, this physical response. I'm like, oh no, and I get that sometimes if I've like feel like I made a wrong decision on a wall or like something not working out, quote unquote. But I was in Austin recently and setting up a show, and the exterior of the gallery, it's like these long, it's like collab projects. And they're like this long concrete structure is the gallery. And I was down there for install, and I was like, well, we can use chalk spray paint. And I can paint on the sides of the galleries because we had put a giant matchstick on top of the telephone pole. And I was like pretty stressed, like kind of like, Rrr. And then I was like, well, why don't, what am I going to paint? I'm like, let's try to paint two realistic horses. And like, that was my breaking point, that's the moment where I'm like, what if why did I choose to like, under all this stress, be like, yeah, I'm gonna go for it. Some realistic horses, and I don't paint realism, but it was nice to like find that I put myself in that position to where I was just like, whoa, I don't have control, It was hard. It was great.
I love that you have that that attitude towards it. It's great. How long did it take you to get to that point where you're able just to embrace that and just roll with it? Did it take how many years do you think that had you been doing this before you finally were like, all right, this is part of the equation and I can just roll with it?
I felt some meltdowns at walls. And I think that like those are kind of similar to these moments we're talking about. Like growing up, I'd have a meltdown, and like no one else would know what was going on, but like internally, I would just be like just emotionally destroyed by this experience of painting on the surface. And as I've gotten older, I enjoy a good like internal combustion over painting, but it's just like maybe that's exactly what needed to happen at that time. You know, like maybe that's what the work needs to look like, because it is like it is from me, but it's not. There's like this weird detachment where, you know, despite whatever my mind wants, my brain wants, like there's also something else that happens in my work. And so it's just like when I lose control in that way, I'm like, all right, brain, like fall back. Like that's what's here. We're gonna accept that. That's maybe what needs to be here. Someone might think that looks cool. You don't, but like maybe it's just not up to you right now. And I don't know. I mean, I think having painted up quite a bit of walls, it's easier to like accept the moment of like maybe like my actual brain doesn't love the image, but like who's to say that that's correct in this entire world, you know? Like, I don't like what it looks like. Like, come on. There's all these other people that might enjoy it.
How did you get to that? Because I would think, you know, the battle, you must have had to surrender to that idea. Like, because initially, I don't think that's the normal response. If there's something that you're like struggling over and you don't like it, then it's just, you become obsessive. At what point, or maybe it was that break that you can like look at it and say, and I'm not saying it's easy, obviously, when you're in this moment, but to have the realization, like, you know, okay, this is the way it's going to be, and this is it, you know.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that does. I mean, I think even kind of like my painting patterns, like how I approach painting, it's not necessarily like a singular thing. It's comes, it goes, and things are open, things are closed. And so there is this, I think that, you know, that leaves me room for me to watch myself feel like something's complete. Like, wow, it's done. And to arrive at like, it's done. Sometimes it just happens. I'm like, it's done? Like, you're done? And you're like, yeah, it's done. And then, I mean, people like say things that they, you know, give me feedback about my work. And they're like, this is, you know, this is the best thing. This is my favorite thing. And in my mind at that moment, like I did not feel that way. But I mean, it's not about me, right? If it's public work. And so to broaden my mind and to be like, okay, like, you know, to like bring what I'm comfortable with, but then also like extend it so it's more open ended to the audience. And then sometimes I learn to love those moments. Like I've painted moments in walls where I'm like, ooh, and then later on I'm like, whoa, like that was a shift in direction. But I think my work is like somewhat ambiguous, and it's like complete, you know, it's completion and accuracy is always just relevant. So I do have freedom in that way.
Yeah, that's so healthy. I think that's such a healthy attitude if you can get there, like acceptance. And, you know, like you said, you went back and you're like, whoa, that's different than I thought. It's better than I thought it was going to be. You know,
Yeah.
What a cool thing to experience.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I think like with my practice of painting trains, I think that that's like to the nth degree, to where like accuracy is out the window and it's just a feeling, you know, it describes something. I try to describe something, but just working within limitations, it's my acceptance of what happens is full range. I'm like, wow, that's dumb. Wow. And you're like, great, let's roll with it, you know? Because it's, you know, just, yeah, there's some things I've painted are just like, I cannot believe this happened. But like, we're done. We're done with the painting.
There you go.
And you let it go, and people love it more than you could have imagined.
That's awesome. Oh, I love that.
It's always the art of compromise. That's what I call it.
Yeah. Yeah. and I'm wrong so much. And I have to remind myself of that. I'm wrong and like about what's going to happen in the future, about what people are thinking. And so in my art, I'm like, this isn't right. I'm like, you're probably wrong. Like, that's really helpful for me in art and life, is to remember that I'm probably delusional about the situation we're going into anyway.
I love that attitude. It's
helpful.
And and it's just like that old adage, or I live by this, 90% of the things you worry about never come to fruition anyway. So why are you worrying about it? Man, I spend my life like that because I'm always in my head about something. And then I just step back and say, look, you think this, but it ain't going to happen. It's not going to be as bad as you think it's going to be. And it usually is, I'm usually right once I can get to that point. It's getting to that point though.
Yeah, totally. That's why I try to keep track of moments where I'm like, oh no, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. I write it down. I'm like, my brain cannot imagine what's going to happen in this world. Like that, it's not old enough. It hasn't been around long enough to guess.
Right.
But I'll lose sleep over it for sure.
It's similar to when people say, oh, don't say that, you're going to jinx it. And you're like, I don't have that power. If I had that power, world would be different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I saw an older interview with a younger Mick on YouTube. And you said that in this questioning from this person, that it was really hard for you to accept compliments about your work. Has that changed over time?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's changed. I wouldn't say that I am my work, so I think I'm able to accept compliments a little bit more easily because they're complimenting my work. They're not complimenting me as a person. Yeah, and so, still like compliments are kind of strange. Maybe like lack of self-confidence that I have in some areas. People are like, oh, this is great. I'm like, I don't know whether to say thank you. I don't know whether to say, I think so too. But then I also have this idea that shyness is actually out of like being conceited, right? So you're like I'm shy in public because I'm so inside of myself that I think that people are thinking about me. So battle with that too. Like, oh, he's shy. Like, no, he's just stuck in his own head, Compliments about work. Do you want to follow up with another question with that one?
Well, it's a weird thing, and I can relate to that because I don't know how to take that either. Like, I just feel weird. It makes me feel weird. I don't know how it makes you feel, but I just feel weird when I appreciate it. I like that people recognize something that I did, that they appreciate it and stuff. But at the same time, it makes me feel awkward and weird and uncomfortable. And I don't like it. I don't even like going to, and I haven't had a ton of openings, but I don't even like going to openings because I'd rather people just go look at the work and have their own experience and thought or whatever. I am curious what they think or if they gravitate to certain things, but at the same time, I'd rather just almost be invisible, just kind of take that in. Like, I don't necessarily need accolades or anything like that. It's like, it just makes me feel really, really uncomfortable.
Yeah. Do you think it's like this feeling of you owe them something now? Because they like brought you a compliment?
You mean I always, like, if I am paid a compliment, I always thank people because I do appreciate it. I don't think I owe them anything per se, but I just don't like to I don't want to be the center of attention. And especially with what I do, I don't feel like it's about me. Like you touched on it earlier. It's not about you, right? That at some point you're like, this is its own thing. And my work is not about me as a person, even though it's a part of me. It's channeled through me, kind of like you touched on. But at the same time, I don't want to be the focus of it. Like, I just want them to go experience and take it in, and them have that experience with subtracting me from the equation, basically, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. If I could just not be like, I don't like pictures of my face on the internet or like any images of me connected to my work, because I like it to like it's its own thing. But yeah, to like be complimented, that's nice. It's a nice gesture, but I think they should be thinking the work, not me. I'm just the conduit for it.
Tenant wants to acknowledge our media sponsor, New Magazine. That's NUE. You can follow both the national and the Denver edition of New Magazine on Instagram. The national edition can be found at new_magazine, and the Denver edition at new_Denver_magazine. And I want to share with you something very exciting. Check out the newly launched New Denver Gallery Guide. Look for the signage that says New Denver Gallery Guide that has a QR code. Scan it with your phone, and you have instant access to a comprehensive digital guide to Denver's finest galleries and exhibitions. Find this QR code in your favorite gallery, hotel, or coffee shop as you visit and explore Denver. Thanks for listening.
I'm Mick Burson, and you're listening to the Tenant Podcast.
You've been doing this for a while. I mean, since you're, like seriously disciplined, since your mid-teens, essentially. I mean, it's always evolving, but do you feel like you know your voice?
I still feel like I'm kind of throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. I don't know what my voice sounds like. It's hard to understand what your voice sounds like because you hear it so often. Yeah, I think when people see my work, they know it's my work. I don't know how to pick that apart as to why they know. I mean, I do make, similar decisions in a lot of stuff that I do, but I'm still figuring out the functions of it. I try to sometimes. What was the question again? I'm sorry, I lost it.
That's all right. That your voice is always evolving. Do you feel like you know your voice at this juncture of the game because you've been doing it for so long? Obviously, the voice is something that changes over time, but like the foundation of who you are as an artist and what you do, your voice, do you feel like you know what that is?
I feel like I'm chasing it, maybe, because I think it is constantly changing. It looks the same, but the subject matter changes. And then I think I change as a person, and then my work evolves because I evolve, and I'm always like one step behind being able to take like my visual choices and describe exactly to make a perfect painting, to like describe exactly how I feel or exactly how a moment feels. I think I'm always like a step behind making guesses because everything's just evolving. Like I wish I could sit down, have a feeling, know how to exactly describe it, be done, but well, that's it, but it's just, I'm chasing something. I'm chasing like an expression of myself, which is evolving. So there's never like a plateau, I would say.
That makes perfect sense.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah. No, it does. I think, and I bet you the vast majority of people that way. I think if they think they know their voice, I'm sure there are some artists that are very specific and they know how to capture what they want. But I bet you the vast majority of us, even people that aren't artists, describing a voice in a different way, a passion or a purpose, we're always chasing it, or to even understand ourselves, who we are as a person. I think we're always chasing that. I think you just explained that really well. I like it.
I was chasing it. Chasing the sentence. But yeah, there's been moments in paintings where stuff that I made where people are just like, I feel that. And I'm like, I struggled with that. And I think that they relate sometimes. There's just like this oomph about it. And then people feel the oomph. And it's like, well, how do you describe the oomph? And it's just like, it's not a singular thing. It's like it's painting. It's the act of painting, or like how I approach it. It's difficult, it's lovely, and it's aggravating. And then someone sees it and they're like, I feel that. It's like, wow, whatever that is, like that experience that I had.
Yeah.
I feel it.
I mean, that's the beautiful thing about art. Everybody experiences it different. Music, film,
Yeah. Yeah.
visual arts. So yeah. And what moves one person won't move another. And
Exactly.
yeah, it's crazy.
I love that. I love that there's like something for everyone, probably someone for everyone. Like variety out there. It's incredible.
Yeah, we've mentioned this before. Sometimes, success is just finding your people will find you. It's they're out there. Somebody's going to resonate with your work. So you just got to find them, or they got to find you, either or.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to say another thing, and I don't know if I think Todd's mentioned this before. I a lot of times don't appreciate somebody's work until I've talked to them and hear. And that's why I love this podcast, is sitting down and talking about your work and then having a different connection to it, or understanding it a little different. And then it opens up, right? And then you're like, holy shit, I didn't think that.
Yeah, definitely.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've had experiences with tons of people, even to like have partners or people that you love, and then you see them make, and you're just like, oh, you look just like your work, and it's just like, wow, that's you, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you said this, because, and I'll post this particular video on our Facebook page, but I mentioned this video pre-recording of this podcast of you creating this cube that you hang from this railroad bridge. And I can't remember where you said that was at, if it was in Oklahoma.
In Navasota, which is in Texas, like
in Texas.
Yeah.
But there's a moment in that video where you're actually loading this up into a pickup truck, and I'm watching you walk into the frame and loading it up. And for whatever reason, I had the exact same thought of what you kind of just described there. I was like, God, he looks just like his work. Like that moment, for whatever reason, I was like, that just reminds me of Mick's work. It was very strange. And then you talked about that. You mentioned that. And I'm like, yeah, he's very much his work,
Yeah. I got a truck recently, and everybody sees it. It's like, oh yeah, that's your truck. You look like that truck. It's like it's an '88 Toyota pickup. And just like, I don't know, it just kind of mimics itself. Life does. Or you ever see couples that look like one another?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's like that.
That attraction, right? To whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Like attracts like.
What if it's attraction to self, and therefore my work looks like me? Because I know that's not. Or maybe I look like my work. It's a relationship. Like I'll probably use some of the colors I'm wearing today. I'll probably look like some of my lines, like kind of crooked.
It's inseparable.
Yeah.
We touched on the whole fear factor. What would you say is your greatest fear?
Today?
However you want to take that question and answer it.
I don't like needles, like getting shots. Like if I have to get like blood drawn or something, that's probably my biggest fear. I'll pass out is what happens. But I don't know, my biggest fear, I don't know if I have one right now. Like probably like letting someone down, like missing a deadline is probably like a reoccurring fear during the day. Like, oh, you got to get to work because you said somebody, you were going to be here at this time. It comes and goes, like dying, like that comes and goes as a fear. Like losing friends and family, that comes and goes. I'm not sure. Maybe like acceptance be the key to a lot of fears. My own fears, because like, what am I going to do about it? It's just life is happening, so I don't know. I don't have very much control over very much at all. So it's like to have fear about something that you can't control.
Yeah,
it's a waste of energy. But I get there quickly. I'm like, oh this, oh that, but just like I'm just enjoying this experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all legit. I can relate to a lot of what you just said, a very recent realization for me in my life. And when I say recent realization is within probably the last 5 years is embracing those things that you have zero control of and realizing that we have so little control over anything, right?
Yeah.
It seems silly to waste time and energy. Really, it's not that I don't have that still, but it seems very silly to waste energy on something you have zero control of or of little control of. And Wes and I have talked about this quite a bit. And I think death is a very real thing. Confronting your mortality and what your legacy may be. You'd like to think, at least I would. I think Wes feels this way, that you're leaving something behind that will be here long after you leave this place.
That could be like impact on other people too. Like that could be a legacy. You can have like paintings you leave behind, or like walls that are still up, but to like positively impact someone's life who's still going to be here after you're gone. And like that seems like the greatest legacy or greatest gift to be able to like leave this world with, knowing you've made this experience for someone else a tiny bit more enjoyable.
Yeah, because you never know how, like you said before, when you're talking about giving your thesis, you don't know how you might impact somebody, what that catalyst may be to, spark someone to go on and do something themselves, to be great within themselves,
Yeah.
Here's the interesting thing. And Todd's heard this or versions of this. I trampled through lots of cemeteries in my life. And it's interesting. You walk through a cemetery and, everybody's got a headstone or whatever. And we've stripped them away. Like you don't know anything about them other than maybe beloved father, birth dates, death dates. So then there was a point where I was like, maybe the key is don't leave anything. When you're done, impact the people you can, they'll pass on. And then maybe the whole point is to even like show that you didn't exist at all. So I was like trying to wrap my head around that. No headstone, being cremated, ashes spread, 2-3 generations go by and people forget you even here. So it's just a weird thing because I'm always like, oh, you got to leave a legacy. Because I think that's kind of what we as Americans especially always think about is leaving some kind of legacy. What if you don't leave a legacy at all? What's that like? Because very few people do really. But anyway, I spent some time trying to wrap my head around that. And I don't know if I ever came up with any good conclusions, but it was an interesting thought process.
I had similar thoughts whenever like I had everything I owned in the RV and like driving was like casual seatbelt situation. Like, it didn't really work. And I'm just like, if anything happens, then like blip, that's it. And it's just, there's trace of me through like painting walls, but there's no objects anybody has to deal with. I would be gone as well. And just to like what an interesting feeling to know that all physical traces of you could be blooped.
Yeah.
But then you just take your exit and keep going, and here we are.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. And that's what we hope happens is we're able to take our exit and land where our destination is supposed to be. So
yeah.
That was a fun conversation though. Thanks for bringing that up, Todd.
Yeah, that was great.
So if you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
Oh, nothing. No, I mean, there's nothing. Yeah. I was trying to even like make a joke about like a tattoo I got when I was 15, but like still nothing. Like I wouldn't change anything.
You're pretty comfortable in your own skin.
I mean, I come and go, like as far as being comfortable, but I mean, to change one thing would mean that like this exact moment would be different in some way. Right. And I'm like, this is perfect.
I love that you embrace that,
What about you? What would you change?
Just off the top of my head, I would probably change the fact that I procrastinate a lot. I can get shit done, but I have a tendency to procrastinate and it causes me problems, undue stress that I don't probably need to go through. So just off the top of my head, that would be it. But for the most part, like you said, it's like and just embracing the imperfection of everything of the universe. Like there's perfection and imperfection, but at the same time, like we've discussed, there's very little that you have control over. Procrastination is one of those things I definitely have control over. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with who I am and where I'm at. So yeah, procrastination probably make my life a little bit better. At this juncture of the game, I'm not sure that that's going to change anytime soon. So, or ever.
Do you think they're neighbors to like intention as well? Like procrastination and intention. So maybe you procrastinate, but you're more intentional about things through the procrastination.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be intentional, right? Because it's like, I don't think I push off stuff or don't do stuff because it's just something that happens. It's a conscious decision of like, I'm not doing that shit right now. Like it just doesn't feel like what I want to do.
Yeah.
I think that's what it boils down to. So there's definitely intention in there. And I've figured out how to function very well in that scenario. Like I'm addicted to that, probably that adrenaline, like, okay, I pushed all this shit off and now I got to do it. Like I don't have any choice but to just get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When's your birthday?
March 10th.
Okay.
When's yours?
May 19th.
Oh yeah. You just said that you had a birthday.
Yeah.
What's the relevance of the birthdays?
I mean, I was just thinking that he was going to be like, oh, I'm a Taurus. And I'm like, oh, I'm partially too. But
okay.
Wes likes to procrastinate too, and his birthday's
I'm a
in
master
November, so.
procrastinator.
When's
I
your
do.
birthday?
God damn, it's evil. And I'll tell you the one thing, if I could change one thing about myself, I wish I had more like serious drive, because I can be super freaking lazy or take shortcuts. And I look at people, artists that are prolific or musicians and basketball players, sports figures, all what separates the good from the great is drive. They get there an hour early to practice, or I think it's, and I've mentioned this a couple times, Louis Armstrong practicing every day, even though he'd been blowing the horn forever, he practiced every day. And I don't have that drive. So that's the only thing I wish I could really, really change, is that seriousness of serious drive. And I'm a Sagittarius, so I don't know if that means anything, but
I don't know horoscopes.
So what drives you, Nick?
I mean, it's partially an act of survival now because I depend on my work to like have a place and like provide for myself. I think it gives me like a sense of purpose, especially like outside paintings. Just like self-satisfaction. It started as self-satisfaction and I would say even ego when I was younger. And I'm like, oh, I've painted this wall and like I've done that. And then the high and the adrenaline from painting a wall would last like a week. And then I paint another wall because I'd be like, oh, I want that again, and I want that again. And then now it's like non-existent. It's like an old married couple or something like that. Like I love painting. I love it in this very separate way now, where it's not this like, I'm not like a conqueror about it. And yeah, so like I used to just chase this adrenaline from it, and now that adrenaline doesn't happen. It's like gone before the wall's done, or even just non-existent. It's very calm and very like, this is my purpose, not this is cool or anything. I have an obsessive nature about things. I think that helps with this drive. I mean, it's like an adventure that I can kind of set at my own speed. If I want more adventure and more like excitement and more places to go and places to be, then I just like work harder and it just speeds up. And I'm just like, oh, gotta be there. And if I like don't paint as much or tone it down, then like life slows down. So it's fun to be able to like just like crank that momentum every now and then and be like, oh, I'm so busy, and kind of stress myself out over it. And then yeah, it's just interesting. I mean, life is great. Life is like fun to see, and just like cool if I like make a bunch of paintings and I got a bunch of places to be, and I get to like experience life. So I'm here in California because I like got some paintings to make, and so it's just. And then after that, I got to go somewhere else because I got to like make a painting there, and so it takes me places as well, and I get to experience life through this vein of like making stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that's pretty spectacular.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's amazing. Feels normal because it's been like a slow thing that I do. And it's kind of how it is. But
You're pretty lucky that you get to do what you love to do. And like you said, it's an adventure all the time. You're essentially in the driver's seat. You can kind of, scale it back if you want, if you need downtime to like decompress and process and, figure out your next plan of attack, or you can be full bore and be out of your mind busy, right? I mean, not a lot of people can say that they have that kind of of anything that you can control, that they have those kind of options in their lives, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm incredibly fortunate for this life that I have. Yeah. It's huge. It's wild.
And you said you're obsessive. I think that's a pretty across the board trait with a lot of artists, especially successful artists and people that are prolific like yourself. I think there has to be that element of obsessiveness. You make a lot of work that involves horses. Wes and I love horses. We just love and adore horses. In fact, this is the time of year where there's a lot of the big horse racing that goes on. And I know Wes has been spending time watching those races with his dad. What's your affinity of horses, and what brings that into the work?
Well, I think there's a few different avenues. And I'm still like, I've been painting horses for maybe like a year or something. So I'm still trying to figure out all the exact avenues as to like how it creeped into my work. I mean, I think it's an incredible shape. Just the shape of a horse, the exterior shape, like the rectangle that it is, and then they like the inside portal shape. I think that they're just like, they almost look like they should be dinosaurs. You look at one up close, you're like, man, this is the scale of this animal. And you can just tell it they know so much. And the motion of a horse, I think that's why I feel like they're fitting to go on trains, because it's just like this galloping leap. Just to see that flying across landscape, just like the silly shape of a leap of a horse. I feel like that all kind of matches up perfectly with what I want in a day. Man, I forgot about all these horses. These are old. What was I doing? I think I probably liked the girl that liked horses. I think that's probably how that started. That's why I don't like tomatoes, because I used to like a girl who doesn't like tomatoes.
Oh, that's funny.
I feel like that should be a poem.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked a girl that liked horses during this time period.
So it started with a girl.
I mean, probably someone. Yeah, there's always love in and out of work. So I was in Albuquerque when I started making the horses. And then, I mean, there's just been horses that have popped up. Like I was living outside the Santa Fe rodeo for a while in the RV, and they were just having horse shows. And I was staying in Amarillo painting this water tower, like water storage, not like a tall water tower. And there was a bunch of horses nearby, and I'd hear them all day. And they would just like, it sounded like a car wreck. So they, scare, and it was them like trying to get the trainer's attention by making this loud noise and then kicking the wall behind them. And I just thought that was like the most incredible thing, just to like whinny and then kick the wall because you want attention. And I don't even know much about horses. There's horses where I'm staying. This is a horse farm, so it's not. I mean, it's kind of like I'm borrowing from the horse without ever like asking. But they're beautiful, and I just try to celebrate their character, even though they probably wouldn't run or jump like I paint them.
I loved how you like you processed it like via their shape. Like you're looking at the space under, under their appendages, and you look at them as rectangles. I would never, my brain would never have processed or gone to that place, but I think it's interesting how your brain kind of processed like the shape, and then all the other things that go along with it, your experiences, painting and hearing horses and the sounds, and um I can appreciate that, you know it's a very unique experience. And then how it comes together in either one of your sculptures or one of your paintings, I think that's magnificent.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out the all the ins and outs, and I think whenever I paint something repeatedly, like I would do like cars, it's sailboats, ladders. It's like a celebration of the person, place, or thing. How many ways can I describe this one thing and like instill emotions in the description of it?
Oh, that's a great way to. I've never thought about that. How many ways can I describe this same thing?
Mhm.
I love that. I never thought about like that's a good exercise for any artist, right? Like you take an ordinary object and like how many ways can I express the same article?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do that a lot. I mean, I think that, yeah, I do that a lot in my work. I didn't realize, I mean, I just said that out loud, but um,
Well, I want to talk about a piece because you mentioned that how can you explore the same thing multiple different ways? And there's a particular piece on your Instagram. This is a great piece that I love from the WEND exhibition that you had. This was at the Richard Levy Gallery. And I just absolutely adore this piece. And when I saw it, I was like, ah, shit, that is just out of this world.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's all these different chairs. I don't know if this one has a particular title or not. If you know it, let me know. But
I titled it Chair Stare, and the Albuquerque Public Arts, they bought that from the gallery. And this was made the night before install in my bedroom. It was like the immediacy of it. I was like, oh, I have to have something else. Like I'm not done explaining this. And then yeah, just like put trash bags down and carpet, corner of the room, made this painting. And it ended up being a really good painting, but it was like just it was reaction. It wasn't planning, it wasn't just impulse that it needed to come out. And this one, I think it's like 5 feet by 5 feet.
Wow.
it is really spectacular. I love. So what we're looking at for our listeners, it's all these different chairs, different. It's the basic shape, same shape. Some are a little bit elongated, different colors. Some of them have negative space. And what really makes it is the little chair at the very bottom that's been tipped over.
Yep.
It's amazing, man.
Thanks.
How often are you in that situation where all of a sudden you're like, I just got to do one more piece, or I'm just compelled to make something, and without any planning whatsoever, it was total. You said it was totally reactionary.
Yeah.
To what was going on at that moment. How often does that happen, and you come away with something that is beloved by a lot of people, that's viewed and somebody wants to purchase it?
I think that's usually how I tend to make my best work, is like these moments of like reaction, rather than being like, okay, what am I gonna make? What's it gonna mean? It's this state where I'm like out of my own way almost. And I feel like with the way time works, you got to be somewhere when by the time runs up. And so you're forced to make action or to take action within this period. And so there isn't a whole lot of time for thought or consideration. of yourself. It's just kind of like this go motion. And I mean, I think that that's when a lot of good, what I would consider some of my good work happens, is when I don't even have time to check in with myself on it, or to like consider who's going to see it, or what's, what it's going to be, or why. It's just like I remove myself from the process, and I'm just like the conduit for it.
You realize in that moment that that's going on?
No, it's more frantic, you know. It's more like, oh no, like I'm gonna, I don't know. I mean, because there is times where I could get up and walk over to the corner of the room, and I have like been collecting stuff for a few days, and like get over there, walk over there, and be like, I'm gonna make something happen within 30 minutes. And each decision that comes to my mind, I'm gonna do that. There's not gonna be like oh, maybe this or maybe that. Like I'm gonna get up there immediately, start gluing stuff together, making marks, and like a lot of work is made in that way, where there's whatever decision comes to my mind, like I'm gonna see that decision through. And I think that like with this one, I was just like, oh, I'm gonna like make a bunch of chairs, because these are cut out of an older painting, or a few different older paintings. And then, to like, when I arrived at the idea, I painted the black border, and I was like, oh, okay, well, now what do I put inside this like raw canvas square? And then I had these paintings, and I was like, well, I guess we're going to make an object. And I was like, okay, what object? Like, we're making chairs. Like, okay. So I started cutting chairs. And it was just like it was immediate. And I think of like a lot of like the found object sculptures happen in that way, where I step away and I'm just like a bunch of decisions were made, not a lot of consideration. And I kind of enjoy some of that work because it feels a little bit less of me. I can see less of myself in it, because it's not this like long drawn out process of consideration and planning. It's more like this impulsive nature inside of me, where I'm like, wow, the work was made, And I think that happens with deadlines, and like I have a deadline coming up, and I do have deadlines coming up quite often. And somehow like the work has always been made, and I could sit here and plan what I'm going to make, or I could like walk over there and begin making. Both are probably valid, but yeah, just the taking action part.
Did you have to kind of train yourself to be able to do that? Because I've seen or had a conversation, and I've seen other artists like, or at least heard of other artists like our friend Dan, struggle where there's too much thinking going on. When he's able to just free himself from that process of like, questioning or thinking too hard about it, he comes up with some really spectacular stuff, and he's been really happy with it. Did you have to train yourself kind of like to be in that moment and just kind of let stuff go and just go totally via intuition?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what a process. I would say that maybe, I mean, I think a lot of things lend themselves to that. I think graffiti was really helpful, because like I'm not gonna go somewhere with a drawing and paint that. Like I show up and then like begin painting. And so like those spur of the moment decisions, it feels really free. I'll get real trapped in my own head about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, decisions that I need to be making. Or I could just simply like just pull back and be like, this goes there, that goes there, we're gonna do this. And it simplifies the whole process. And I don't know, it ebbs and flows. Like I'll get so caught up. Like some of that work for that wind show was miserable with making it, because I was just very much caught up in myself, and like my own personal life and expectations from viewers, from myself, and I wasn't free. And I think that like some of the work, I don't know, feels a little like self-aware, self-conceited.
And I'm pulling up another picture right now. So this is a picture inside the gallery. We're looking at chair stairs again, but there's this other chair that's sitting on this pedestal, pointed towards this piece that you made, the chair stair. Was this chair made before that piece?
Yeah, this chair was made in Colorado. The one on the pedestal, and then and then the other one was made really late in the game, before the deadline. But yeah, I mean, I think that like maybe the way this is aligned and looks at the other paintings kind of that like mimics what my work does. You know, we were able to like arrange it in a way that mimics how the work works. It's just kind of like goofy and strange to face a chair towards a painting of chairs that are looking at a chair. But like, why not do it?
Yeah, when I saw this, my thought was, oh, it's like self-examination of itself, right? It's the chair looking at chairs, thinking about chairness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, while we're talking about work here, I want to talk about another exhibition and some of the work that you did. This particular exhibition was from 2018.
Oh yeah.
The importance of packing a lunch. And this looks like all kind of found art sculpture. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
So talk a little bit about the idea behind this and what was going on at the time.
So I'd gone on an internet date on Tinder. I met this lady and she was moving to Paris, France in like a week. We had met in Arkansas and we hung out and we were just like, well, we should probably just hang out until the day that you leave. And she's like, yeah, I think that's what we should do. So we did that and we painted a wall during that time. And then she's like, here's half the money, buy a ticket to Paris. You should come see me. And I was like, definitely, that's a plan. So she went to Paris and then I went up there a month later and she was like an au pair. And, you know, we were burning bright. The love was burning bright. And then I think the reality of like, oh, she's got to be like watching these children every day. Maybe like the initial, I don't know. We just weren't getting along. Like, I think we were just kind of both impeding on one another's space. And I was like, I think I was there for 3 days and I booked my trip for 30 days. And I was like, I guess I'm going to head out. And then I began working on this project when I was wandering. And these are all objects found. I ended up going to stay in France and then I went to England. And I ended up meeting a really good friend to this day, David Schillinglaw. He paints murals out there. But yeah, this work was made when I was wandering around because I was like, why I maybe need to like find a purpose of this trip because it wasn't my original, like kind of remix things in this time. And so I ended up like I had a backpack and I ended up kind of trading out clothes for these items so I could bring them back. And yeah, man, I'm looking at all these different pieces. I could tell you where they came from, but it was a journey and stayed in hostels, did some walking, lots of walking. But yeah, I made a lot of these pieces while I was there and then when I returned and they were all just from that journey of an internet date.
I love how you turned something that just, didn't happen, kind of dissipated. You were like, you know what? I just got to turn this into something. Most people would have walked away with their tail between their legs and gone, screw it, But you were like, all right, I'm going to make something while I'm here. I'm going to make something out of this trip. And, and I think they're brilliant, man. This is probably my favorite piece of the collection.
Yeah.
I don't know what this one's called, but I love this. Talk about this particular piece since you said that you could probably, tell a story about each and every one of these.
Yeah, man, I remember this one. It's owned by Richard, who owns that gallery that I work with. I mean, I'm sure those are just like little strips of wood, and I was able to like whittle those out with an X-Acto knife. I think a lot of these I approached, I was like, okay, these are like the items that you have. Like, what can you do with these items? And I was really into ladders at that time. And I think that this top portion was clay. And that was the first time that was the first time that I brought clay into this project. And so these were stuff that I brought back. And then I made this on like the island in my on my mom's kitchen. I remember baking that in her oven when I got back from Paris. And I was just like, I gotta make this thing. And I made it at the dining room table. And I think it's like this object was able to like capture some sincerity that I I could have never planned. I could have never like, I'm gonna make something real sincere. It's just like reaction to experiences and then to materials. And yeah, I remember this one. It's cool.
So the clay portion is the blue rectangle at the top. Yeah. Does it have any representation in your mind, or is it just something that kind of flowed from you?
Yeah, I think that's probably me up there. I think I'm probably the blue rectangle. Yeah.
It's a cool piece.
Thank you.
It is. I can read a lot into this piece, a lot of symbolism in this piece for myself. And then, you know, what little bit I know about you kind of makes sense. And especially the story leading up to this. It's really beautiful, man.
Thanks. It's wild seeing it. Blast from the past.
I want to pull up another piece that I like from this whole series. Oh, and is this just like a bunch of your materials that
yeah, that I came back with.
That you came back with?
Yeah.
So all this stuff you brought back from Europe.
I think maybe some of those little pieces of plywood, probably not. Yeah.
I think it's funny because it's when you see it all just kind of laid on the table like this, it's so random, you know?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
And so when you're out doing this, and you said you've been collecting for this new exhibition that you're working on, this new body of work.
Yeah.
Are you just out wandering around and you like just see stuff like on the street, in an alley, laying in the grass somewhere, and you pick it up and go, all right, this is part of something?
Yeah, a little bit. Let me grab something real quick and show you. I was wondering the other day, like picking stuff up. It was like along like the PCH and then some on the beach. And then I came back and I was looking at the materials and I was like, well, all these materials kind of look similar. And then I realized that like I was kind of very much in self when collecting. And I'm like, okay, how can we maybe have an experience outside of yourself and then get materials in that way? So I've been trying to like help people. That's like, it's really healthy for me and really helpful for me to like just help people when they need help. So this morning, this construction truck shows up, and the lady who owns this place, I was staying out there talking to her. I was like, "Oh, do you want me to help you unload some of this? It's like bags of concrete." And she's like, "That would be great." And I'm like, "Cool, like an opportunity to help somebody to get out of myself." So we start unloading this concrete, and I look, and there's also lumber. And look at these. So this is what the lumber was wrapped in. So it's like this. It's like tarp paper, but it's a wolf and a perfect yellow circle. And I cut this one and made this one longer right now. But so I was unloading these bags of concrete and I was like, oh, that's a material that I could use that I would have never come to myself, but it's only through having experience with other people that I'm able to like have this material now. And I was like, can I cut those off? She's like, yes, of course. And I think these things are wonderful. I don't know how I'm going to use them yet, but it's just like to gather materials in that way. It's just like kind of refreshing rather than being like, I'm going to go find something in a field.
Right. It's better when it's random like that, I would think, or, you know, it seems like it's more, intentional that way.
Yeah. It's refreshing because it just kind of opens it up to like, what else? What next? Yeah, and so I don't know. I mean, I've been gathering materials for this just for like a few days now since I've been here. And I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but there's like effort being put towards that. So
yeah,
and it was.
You know, I love that connection. I love how you were putting some good back into the universe, right? And then the universe gave you something in return. Like you didn't do that with the intention of getting something out of it other than you're connecting with someone and you're helping them out. And then as you're experiencing or having this experience, the universe says, oh, by the way, here, what do you think about this?
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Just like, wow. Yeah.
That's really beautiful, man.
It's great. And yeah, I had that experience this morning. And I was like, you know, reminds myself, it's like, stay open, go go talk to people, go experience life with other people, not just inside of yourself.
Yeah, not just being in your own head, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about one more sculpture here from this
I love that
series.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wes and
one.
I inevitably like always like gravitate towards the same type of work or pieces. Talk a little bit about this piece. Do you have a name for it, a title? Do you remember?
That one is in this one, is in this section, but this was made before the trip, actually. I made this one in Asheville, North Carolina on my birthday. I was probably turning, I'm not sure what year this was, 27. It was raining. I think we had taken some LSD and we were just outside at a picnic table. And I was just like, I have to make something. So I like went and found these objects and then like constructed this thing. And then maybe that this became a basis for that other work because it was just like so freeing and of the moment and like just simple, but also effective enough for me to like be satisfied with it. But I remember coloring that in. It was raining. There's people in hammocks. Some of my best friends were there. Yeah, this piece.
It's beautiful, man. Did somebody end up buying this? Was it acquired by someone?
Yeah. This whole show was bought by somebody at one time. So I think Richard got that one piece. Richard got two pieces out of it, and then a collector came and they decided to buy it all as one. So they have it now.
That's cool.
Wow.
I know.
That's got to feel really good. That's a real honor to have somebody like love your work so much they buy the majority of your exhibition because they love it so much.
Yeah, it was a strange feeling. It was wild. It's just like, wow, like somebody felt it, right? Somebody felt it that much. And I think they all do really well together as well. I mean, individually that would be fun too, but for someone to be like, no, we're keeping the family together. Like it's like adopting all the puppies at the shelter.
So I got a question since we're talking about exhibitions, right? So you have one that's called Should Have Been a Cowboy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you click on it, you're thinking, I'm going to see cowboys, but you don't. So talk about doing the pieces and then coming up with the name.
Yeah, Should Have Been a Cowboy. It's I like refound 90s country music when I was probably 25, 26. And I was listening to all these songs. Man, I haven't seen this work in a while. I was listening to all these songs and I realized that I knew the words to every song, but I didn't realize that I knew the words until they were coming out. And so then I just went on this like 90s country kick and I was like, man, this music is goofy, but it's in my soul. Like that would jam out. I made these paintings. I was in undergrad and would listen to 90s country music. And then I started listening to podcasts for the first time while making this work. And would wake up at like 5:45 or something and make these until the sun came up, went and got coffee, and then would make these until I went to class. Dang, I wonder where these are at. I wonder where that one's at. I feel like somebody has that. Wow.
So where do you store stuff that doesn't sell? It sounds like you do pretty well as far as your work moving and people acquiring it, but like a lot of artists like have a bunch of their work and they got to figure out what to do with it. And do you have that problem? Do you have like a storage unit? How do you go about doing that?
It's messy. Like I wish I could say I have a storage unit and ship pieces there. To be honest with you, there's like 24 paintings stranded in Denver right now that I need to go pick up from like some things that happened, like some shows that happened, some shows that didn't happen. And then there's like this collection of my work up there. I have some like stuff hidden in my parents' attic. I have some stuff with me. I have a show up right now. It's hard. I wish more of it survived, to be honest with you. But I think, there's a lot that I have no clue where it ends up, because I don't have a storage unit. Gotta have my RV in storage, and that has some work in it. But there's a trail, and I'm not really sure where all it goes. Yeah.
It sounds like you're not really attached to anything. Like, you don't seem like a very material guy by any stretch of the imagination. You seem like you live very simply, that you're fairly frugal, and you definitely don't like dwell on the past. It's all about the here and now and moving forward. Is that a good assessment?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think like I don't really require a whole lot of money. Like I'll get excited and order like old train t-shirts off eBay, and like that's how I treat myself. That and like food. I don't really require a whole lot of like money. Yeah. But I mean, if I do need to like make some money, I can like kind of make it happen. But I definitely prefer like having time and experience over like money.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that mindset, man. It seems so you, just so you know.
Still, yeah, reeks of Mick. That's it.
I want to talk about a piece that you posted this earlier this month, May 3rd, it looks like. You incorporate matches, I've noticed a lot of times. What is your infatuation with matches? And I don't know if you can see this on my this particular piece. I love this piece. It's got a what looks like a shifter indicator from a car. It looks like a handle was fashioned out of a piece of plywood, and then I don't know if the patina is from what was already there or if you actually added paint to it, but it's really cool. So talk a little bit about that piece.
Yeah, that's up right now in Austin. That piece is. I have a show up called Real Rodeo, and it's about. There's a bunch of match pieces in there. There's a bunch of horse sculptures, and then there's a video of me, like, of me painting trains throughout various parts of the South and Southwest, Southeast. You know, I started doing matches like I don't know how long ago. It's more. I think it was like kind of like how many times can I repeat an object, and then also what can I make this object say. And to have like a matchbook, you open it and there's one match left. You're like, oof, like, you know, you're just like, what happened here? And also like, if that's the only shot you got, you're like, man, I have so much emotional investment in this inanimate object working correctly. And so it's like, yeah, you just feel a little like sadness or something when you see it. It's like, oh, there's just one. That's it. Or it's like, oh, last try, like don't blow it.
Yeah.
Like I love that.
And like I think that like my life can be explained in a lot of maybe just like that singular match. I don't know. Yeah, it's just kind of like that image just describes a lot of things all at once. And like patterning, repetition of stuff. I made some works on paper that were. It was like mat board, and I cut them into like maybe 7-8 inch strips, but they were pretty skinny. And I would just get a bucket of concrete, put some red in there, and mix it, and just dip the pieces of mat board or that thick board into it, and just like make matchsticks. I just remember like setting it up and being like, man, I'm about to really enjoy this process, and just like dipping them, you know. And I just like glue them into piles on paper, and that's. Yeah, people were really receptive to those, and I really enjoyed making those. So like, it's great when I enjoy it and people enjoy it. But...
Yeah, I love that material. This is another like really cool piece where you just took all the matchbooks, and again, it's that pattern thing that you were talking about.
Yeah, and I was lighting some of them on fire. There's a few of them that I actually lit, and that was like. Maybe a little gimmicky, but I don't know. I was just like, I'll indulge myself in this.
I thought it was kind of interesting, actually. When I watched the video of you lighting that one, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. You know, just it's almost like performance art, you know?
Yeah.
And to go back to the single match thing, it's just, it really struck me, and that's funny.
Pun intended.
Yeah, pun intended. I didn't think about that, but it struck me what's funny, interesting, and not funny, but interesting about that is like, you're right. You open up matchbook, there's one match left. There's a lot writing on it, right? Like you said, but there's also this idea of like, okay, I went through I don't smoke, so I don't go through a lot of matchbooks, but you have a matchbook and then you're down to one. Do you just toss it on the road? Do you toss it in the trash, or do you keep it because it's one match? And you get this kind of tinge of sadness when you, like you said, you open it and it's one match and it's by itself and it's all alone. All his friends have already been used.
Yeah. Almost like solitude or something.
Yeah.
Like I would like to paint like sailboats really small in the middle of like a giant blue canvas, because it's just like you see it and you're like, God, I kind of want to take care of that thing. Like, does that thing need some help? And then it's just those moments. Same with the matchbook. So kind of like, ooh, it's like a child. You're just like, let me pick you up. Okay.
Yeah. Have you found a lot of matchbooks? Are they out there? And because I don't smoke, I'm not aware.
So I ordered a bunch from maybe like estate sales, or different individuals are selling their collections. So I would order like 1,000 at a time, and it would be from one individual. And from like the East Coast, from the West Coast, you could tell, by location. And yeah, you just like look at somebody's life and you're like, well, we got a wild one here, like there's like crazy nightlife places and just fancy hotels and just like bougie restaurants. You're like, man, this person, just kind of to make up stories about people I don't know.
Right.
Oh, they were probably at the Hilton doing this before they did this. And it's exciting. And a lot of them are old, and like the matches were old.
Back in the day, that's people advertised on that. So, you might have them, like you said, like a gentleman's club that, you walk in and everybody's smoking still because it's the 70s. And so there's matches all over the place, and you write some girl's number on the inside of the matchbook. I mean, just like stories like that just don't exist anymore because now everybody's vaping, right? So.
Yeah. And there's like directions on some matchbooks, or like phone numbers.
Yeah.
It's like, man, what moment of life was this for somebody?
Yeah. There's another matchbook. I'll explain it to you. It looks like a horse, or maybe it's a dog. It's probably horses because you paint horses. That's it right there, Todd. Talk about that one.
Yeah. I made that in Little Rock. I think it was like one of the first things I made, because I was staying out there in an RV. So it was a parking lot situation. And it was freezing. It was like getting down. It was below freezing there for a while. Yeah, and I had those supplies with me, and I had made a few of those matches before in that way of like dipping concrete. And so with that one, I was just like, okay, maybe I start out by making matches, and we'll see what happens. So it was just like, it was balsa wood, and I carved those out, and so I like dipped them, made these concrete matches, and then I had those panels I had gotten from somewhere else. So then I was like, oh, if you enclose them, and then so I had this like matchbook built, and I was like, oh, time for the cover, like. Don't blow it, right? Because it's like, this thing is built, it's beautiful. Don't say too much on it. And that was the image I painted on. I don't know. I think it was either I painted that on the matchbook and then went and painted that on a train, or I painted that on a train and then came back and painted that on the matchbook. But there's a train that looks exactly like that, where it's like a shadow of a horse. So there's like a horse standing behind a fence, and then a shadow of itself leaping over the fence. And I just thought, like, that's like it's just a nice, like, little visual metaphor.
Yeah.
Whether you are the one that jumps or you're just thinking about jumping, just that moment where like the possibility is there to leave the situation that you're in potentially.
Yeah. I love that one. I thought that was really cool. How big is this piece? Is it pretty small, or?
To show with my hands.
Yeah.
Like 15 by 9 or something. 10.
Okay.
15.
It's a decent sized piece then.
Yeah.
Yeah. The train that you did with the overlapping matches, it's a few rows down from that, or a few, just really close to it. That's really cool looking on that train.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I think it's set up as a video, so I should have just posted a still of it, but you got to watch like the whole video and listen to Fred Eaglesmith in order to see the image. But
I'm just looking at the still image of what
okay,
you'd click on. But yeah, I just love the composition of those matches on that train are amazing. Sorry. So anyway, Todd, you were going to say?
Oh, I was going to pull up one more piece. I'm glad you brought that up because I hadn't seen that. And that's exquisite, man.
Yeah.
That's out of this world. This is a piece that I had liked from a little while back. It's future tripping.
oh yeah, yeah,
And you've incorporated the horse again with a highway and some eyes. I love where your brain goes, man.
thanks. Yeah, I made that in Joshua Tree, and it was right after I had moved out of Venice Beach. Me and the person I was with, we like had this like kind of intense LA experience where we like lived in Venice Beach for 2 months in an RV, and like she worked down there, I worked in Malibu, and we would like return to live on the side of the street there, and it was everything. It was intense and wonderful. But then I remember the feeling of like getting to drive away that morning when everything was done after the like month or two, maybe just driving out to LA and then both just being like, whoa. And then we got to go stay in Joshua Tree. We decided to go there. And then yeah, I remembered making that piece being like, you don't have to worry about a single thing right now. Right? You can have this afternoon off. But then, yeah, of course, the next day it's like, we don't have a spot to live in Albuquerque. Where are we going to stay? And back to that. But it was a moment where I gave myself a break. But then in that break, I decided to make a piece of what is to come tomorrow, which is future tripping.
So what is your favorite journey?
What do you mean?
What is your favorite place to go to? What is your favorite thing to do? Is there a special place? Is there a special feeling in the process of making your work? What is that? Is there a favorite journey?
Like a favorite journey in making or in life?
Either or. Or both. Yeah. Do you have a favorite journey? Do you have a favorite place? Do you have a favorite space that you like to be in at a certain time?
One of my favorite places that I've found on Earth so far is Margate, England. It's like Tracy Emmons is from there. I have a friend that lives there, and I've returned to that place quite a few times. It feels like the edge of the earth, but you're just like surrounded by a sea. So I've gone back there a few times, like geographically, that's a good location. I like being like sunburnt and like cold sheets. That's always a good one. Feeling of exhaustion is really nice, but like that satisfied exhaustion, getting your metabolism just pumping and you're starving, and then like somebody makes you a meal. Like when somebody cooks food for me, I'm like that's just, they're keeping me alive. They're nourishing my soul. Like I love that. I think it's really fun to meet strangers and to just, what's up, human? You're like, I don't know you. Like, I know, but we're humans. We're the same.
I've met people like that.
Yeah. Yeah, just like chance encounters are really nice when I'm like open to them, and other people are, and you like meet them at the same time. You're both like, wow, we're both down to have this experience right now, and you get to have it, and you carry on.
I love that whole having the sunburnt and being in cold sheets. I wrote that down. I love that. That is such
yeah, just the feeling of satisfaction too. I think that like when that comes, and sometimes that feeling is intertwined with like sunburn in some way. Maybe like painted really hard or like did something outside, and you're just like, the next 10 minutes, I'll just let myself be. No thoughts, just like enjoy the sensation of being alive.
I wish I would have had this conversation 2 weeks ago, because last weekend I burnt the shit out of my arms doing yard work and my legs. Because I would have definitely had a different experience. So the next time I do yard work, I will think of you and being sunburnt and cold sheets, because it will be a different experience then.
Just gotta enjoy it.
That's right. I love the way your brain works. I mean, you're saying things through the course of this whole interview that makes me step back and go, I didn't even think about it that way. Like when we were talking earlier and you said, how many ways can I explore the same object? I mean, I don't think about things like that. I just love how your brain works. And, other artists are the same way. That's what makes them artists, because they look at the world in a different way than maybe the average person does,
It feels normal to the artist, though.
Yeah.
Right. I feel normal.
Because you make me sound like I'm sure to you, like, well, you're crazy, dude. What, do you don't think this way? But I probably do, but I just like to hear it out loud makes it kind of real for me, maybe. Anyway,
I mean, everybody and like how they choose to experience this world, like it's so fascinating. Like bank robbers, could you imagine just going for it and being like, my life experience, I'm gonna rob banks? I think I have this weird draw with criminals because of like my dad's situation, to where like people that choose lives of crime and just like unabashedly go for it, people that do like Ponzi schemes. I'm like, first of all, the audacity. Second of all, like he just really went for it. It's just interesting how people choose to use the life that they have.
Yeah.
Who would you say is your greatest support?
My mom. Yeah. I have some really great friends. Just some like solid ones that I just cherish our relationship, and it's amazing being able to do life with them. But yeah, my mom, like she's given me, she's instilled so much in me, and we're very, I don't know if we're like very different, we approach life in very different ways, but I don't think we admire each other for how we both do it. And like getting older, it's nice to like see her as like a person instead of like a parent. She is my mom, but like not like she has flaws, she has needs, like as a child, I think I was like, oh, your mom, you gotta deal with that. But now I'm like, no, mom, like as a human being, like what can we do for you? Like how can we enrich your experience? Because hers might be shorter than mine because she was born before me, But yeah, my mom.
That's wonderful. Sculpture is part of your practice. What do you love about sculpture?
So like if I were to like try to draw something and then it becomes like, no matter how perfect I try to draw it, there's like this wonkiness to it. I think that like that wonkiness is just glaring when it comes to my sculptures. I'm like the kind of wonky nature of my work. And I kind of, I've learned to like really enjoy that part of it. With my sculptures, it's like maybe the hand is more visible than, the hand is visible, but it's visible in the 3D. And it's nice to just be like, all right, how am I, like, if I want to make this object, how am I going to make it? And like disregard how it's actually going to like function or stand up even. But it's just like, okay, I'm going to make this thing. And then you're like, okay, now how do I make it stand up? Or like, how do I make it stick together permanently? I think it lends a lot to like maybe the drawings that I make, to where it's like this, it's like wiggle. I don't know. I got into like sculpture more and more. They're pretty like magical objects. They're just like little lives that have become that you can kind of live with if you get one or pick one up or something. Kind of stare back at you too. Yeah.
I like those that you made, man. I don't know if there's a title for those, but this is on your Instagram.
Yeah, that's actually right over there in that box, like right there. Yeah, sure. I made those in this metal shop. My friend Russ Connell makes sculptures, and I was just stopping by, and he was like, "What do you want to cut out some?" I got a bunch of extra sheet metal. It was like 1/8 inch steel, and he's like, "Here's a torch," and he's like set me up, and he's like, just draw. So I was just drawing, and then, it'd fall out, and then I would have these like weird objects, and I would get a base, and then we would just weld the base. I think I made 10 of those sculptures. Some of those they're showing right now at the show in Austin. And then there's a few that are going to be an Albuquerque show, But I like made those without thought. But then they're like kind of permanent because they're steel and they're heavy. And then I brought them back to where I was staying and then painted them with but maybe even less thought. It was just like, it wasn't a consideration for where they would be or where they would live. And then after I made them, then I got contacted that people wanted to show them. So I was like, I don't know if these are cool though, they're made and I made them, but I don't know if they're good. I don't know if they're cool. They just are. And I think that's probably why they're good, because they're not good, but people find them interesting. It's because they were made in a point of I wasn't thinking, oh, we're gonna have a show, we're gonna do this. Just kind of, it was impulse, and it was almost like drawings out of a sketchbook or something. I would just pass time and work on those.
It's cool.
It's honest, and I think anytime you make something that's honest, it resonates with people. People sense it, and they gravitate towards it, and then they want it. And I think that's what happened. It's honest work. They're beautiful. Yeah.
Thanks.
Well done, man. How do you go about selling your art? Is it mostly through the gallery representation you have, like the Richard Levy Gallery in New Mexico?
Yeah. And if anybody wants to ever buy anything, I don't ever list stuff with prices, and I'm not good at it, but if somebody sees something, they're just I want that. More than likely I have it with me, and I'm just weird about posting stuff for sale. But Richard Levy, they sell a lot of my work for me. They store a lot of it, and they've been really helpful, just kind of helping me set standards for things, to kind of teach me that side of work, of the art world. They sell some of my work. I have shows every now and then, but I don't really rely on the sales of things. Since I paint walls, that's that takes care of it. So it's not a whole lot of pressure, as far as whether or not stuff sells. It's great, and stuff does, and I'm just wow, really. But I mean, I think that in the past I would bring stuff to shows and oh, this is going to sell, and it doesn't. And I'm disappointed. I'm to arrive with no expectations, right? It's just I will be okay whether or not. It's just less pressure for everybody, I think, that situation.
It's a nice position to be in.
Yeah, it is. It's not because I have money. I think it's because my standards are low on quality of living. I think it's just, or what I actually need is minimal.
Outside of Richard Levy, do you have other gallery representation at other places?
Nope, it's just them.
Obviously, you have to make money. You have to survive. Do you approach your art from kind of a business perspective? I mean, it's something that's just part of you. I know this after having this conversation for almost the last 3 hours. But do you think about the business side of art?
When you say business side, do you mean long term? Or?
Well, some people really come from it from a business mindset. I gotta make money. I need to make money and that sort of thing. And they're very business savvy as far as their marketing and stuff. I guess where I was going with that questioning is, do you spend much time thinking about that at all?
No, I don't think so. Not a whole lot, especially marketing. I mean, I think for me, whatever I can do marketing, I can just make up for in productivity or just hard work. Just make enough, people will know. I get emails now. I don't really have to, I get emails about jobs, and it's just from me continually working. It's not from me promoting myself on any platform. I do have Instagram, and it's very fun. Yeah, I just like continually work hard, and like I have great relationships with like clients that I've met, and like genuinely appreciate them, and they appreciate me, and just take care of those things. I'm gonna have to figure out something at some point because I can't paint walls forever. I'm gonna get older. But I think that there will be a shift that happens. Maybe I'll like be able to like lock myself away for 6 months and make some giant oil paintings. Like that would be fun. And then like live off of those or something. Yeah. I think whenever I kind of like show up for art or show up for like painting and like allow it to express itself, that it kind of like takes care of me in a way. Like, I'll show up to like make like 5 absurd large paintings that like don't have any place in this world, and like how are you gonna sell those? And then like a company bought one, and I'm like, whoa, like it's absurd because I have no storage. But to like show up and be like, I'm gonna make these massive paintings for painting's sake, and then sure enough, the world responds, just like taken care of. It's weird.
I love it. I love your approach, the way you live your life. It's refreshing. I mean, everybody does this thing differently. And I knew when, I asked that question that the way that you've set yourself up, the way you go about things wasn't really a concern. And I think when you look at the work, that's what comes through is that, it's so, again, honest, and there's an innocent aspect to it. It just shines through, and it's hard. You would be hard pressed not to fall in love with it. That's my personal assessment. So when it does come to moving some of these pieces and pricing it, do you rely on your gallery to kind of help you with that? How do you go about that? How do you go about pricing?
Yeah, they definitely helped me in the beginning, and they still do. Sometimes I just make it up, just make it up. Same with walls. Just like how much? Like, how about this? Yeah. I mean, like with respect to the people who have collected my work and who bought my work, I try to keep it on continuous upswing or a continuous growth. That way, their investment becomes worth more because people have paid more for more current works. I keep that in mind. With walls, it's pretty random. Like sometimes, like I painted this hotel in Dallas recently, and just it was ridiculous amount of headache, but it was corporate. It was like a crazy amount, what I would consider a large amount of money. But then like it wasn't fun, And so I was like, I'll trade this for like side of a gas station somewhere for like half this, just be able to paint that. It also depends on who I'm working with. Like the cachette, those people, that giant building, they were wonderful. We like made something that felt fair to everybody. Yeah, like nonprofits, those people. It depends on who I'm working with, how much freedom they give me. Yeah. But like kind of some big companies, like I'll get it and redistribute it. Yeah.
There you go. I got a silly question, but it's bugging me, so I'm going to ask it. Bugging me in a good way. So on your top of your website, there's a bird. Talk about that for a second, because I think it's so cool looking.
Yeah. I lived in Portugal for a few months, and there was just crazy birds out there, and I started drawing birds during that time, and I don't know if I might have tattooed that on somebody as well, but there's something weird about the birds there. They're almost like human. I don't know if they're like human-like. They kind of like hung out like gangs. They just kind of like mess with people. They're nasty. But yeah, I drew a bunch of like kind of like crooked birds. I think it was like crooked birds and sailboats at that time, because that was like what was kind of around me. Yeah,
he's pretty prominent on your website, so I love it.
just like, oh yeah, that'll work right there.
And then I was looking, there
Yeah.
was some other bird drawings on your website, and somebody had said something to the effect of, and I don't know where it's at now, but he said, oh, that looks like the robber bird that stole from me yesterday at the beach or something like that. That was pretty, he had a hood. Oh, the hooded bird seagull or something that stole from me. I thought that was pretty cute. So, but
that was it. Yeah, that was the thing. They were stealing food from like people on the streets. Like whole slices of pizza would get snatched up. And we'd watch, people walk out uncovered, you're like, there it goes, and then boom,
wow.
whole slices.
It's like those monkeys too. Monkeys do that too, like in some of those Asian countries where you be like, just be chilling, they'll steal your purse.
Yeah, I know. And do they take it to somebody?
I don't know. I think
I
think they just take it to take it. I've seen that where they like stole, like, because remember some lady, wrestling her purse from a monkey, probably because they know there's, could be food, candy, God knows what's in those purses, but yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah, I love when you see that like videos where the bird swoops down and steals something right off the table and flies away. Anyway, I've been looking at it this whole time, and I was just like, he's such a cool looking bird. So anyway, thank you for indulging me.
Yeah.
One of the things, in addition to just looking at all your creations, again, this is what I love about you, Mick, and where your mind goes. You have this thing called, I think it's under your reading tab on your website,
Yeah.
and it's entitled Pretirement, and it's all these quirky, like really fun writings that you've done in conjunction with some of your artwork. What provoked you to want to put together what looks like a zine? And I don't know if you actually physically made this or if it just lives on, well, obviously it lives online, but if you just put it online. But I love this. I really enjoyed like reading some of your writings, and it's just fun. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, they exist in physical copies that are actually newspapers. I'll send y'all some. I'll send you some.
I would love that.
Yeah, I guess for one of the requirements of getting my MFA, I was like, you have to have a thesis show and you have to have a thesis catalog. And I was like, well, doing this building, and there was some pushback. I don't think everybody was thrilled with like that being my thesis project. But I think we all kind of came together at the end. And so then, yeah, I had to make a catalog, and usually you'd make a catalog about the show that you're putting on. So I was like, well, got to make a book or like some sort of reading material. And I came across the template for that, and I was like, make a fake newspaper, and then you can just like, interject your own categories. And I had so much fun making that thing. And then I ordered 500 copies, and then I got them, and they were kind of folded crooked. So I let them know, and they sent me 500 more. So I had like 1,000 newspapers at one point that were just all that. But it was a really fun writing project because like to have have an image and kind of like get to like make stuff up or like make stories, but like nonsensical at the same time. Just like, what?
It's so much fun, and it's fucking brilliant. So you got this, you got one of the tabs is, anybody that's listening has to check this out. Scroll down. There's this whole section. It's called careers. And you're a brilliant writer, man. Like I would pay to read whatever you wrote. Seriously. Under careers, it says, I was looking to hire someone to walk in front of me throughout my day. I have trouble transitioning, so I am hoping you will be able to be the familiar, in quotation marks, in each new situation. Pay is negotiable. Mick.
Yeah.
And then the next one is Hinge, and it says, I am new in town, and the service I offer is oiling hinges. I oil exterior and interior with the most excellent oil and patience. There will be no more squeaks because you have too many other things to look forward to.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that was like, someone had read that recently, and they thought it was like a sexual innuendo, and it's not. But I just imagine like going to someone's house in like a fancy neighborhood and be like, hey, like I have this really nice oil. I will oil all your hinges inside your house for $20. And like they'd be like, yeah. And I'm like, great. And I'll get it done in like 20 minutes. Their hinges don't squeak anymore. I got $20. And I like go to the next house. I think you could probably make a
You
career out of
probably
that.
can. Right neighborhood. And I know my wife would probably pay you to come and, because she's always bitching about the hinges in the door squeaking. So yeah, I think
It's my retirement plan. So
that's brilliant. I love it.
There's so many like little tidbits in this newspaper that you put together for your thesis catalog. It's wonderful. I love it, man. Love it. We're going to start wrapping this up here. In our prior conversation, you said you're 8 months sober. Congratulations. That's really wonderful. What do you think sobriety has brought to not only your life, but your work? Has it had an effect on all portions of your life?
Yeah. It's life changing in every single way. Makes me like fearless towards a lot of things. And that includes the work that I make. I just imagine it's hard to explain. I'm just like fearless and a little bit like definitely not stuck in my head as much around making work, and I let it be its own thing, and I like able to like be brave and to accept it and to like just feel alive more, and to like appreciate people, to remain open to like even this experience that we're having right now. Like this has been wonderful, and I think that like it's because we're like open and we're like able to be like, what's up, human? Like let's do this, and then we can share this with other people so they can have the experience that we had. But yeah, it's been life changing. I was stuck. I was stuck hard, and I think that that's important. That was part of it all. And this is all to say, like, as of right now, right? Like, I'm sober as of right now, and I'm very much enjoying it. But yeah, I was like, working for myself, dependent upon myself, and then I just imploded on myself, and then I was like forced to take stock in myself and figure out what was happening and to like find solutions to these problems. I was only forced to do that because of like my reaction to my emotional turmoil is to use drugs and alcohol. When people do that, you can see that on the surface. And that's how like that's a symptom of my emotional turmoil. So when that became so much, everybody's like, hey, you're not doing good. And I'm like, I know I'm not doing good. And then through that identifying symptom, I was forced to do the emotional work and to figure out how I can be okay and what's off. Like, why am I wanting to do these things? Why am I so separate from this world, or believe that I'm separate from this world? And it's great. I do it one day at a time, and I do upkeep. I work on it. It's not a thing that I like got sober and now I'm just sober. Like I do work to remain free in that as well. But it's kind of like a death and a rebirth in the same life. I don't know. I'm awake now. and I think that's like part of the horses on trains, it's part of like this, like hands up, the shapes of characters now. It's like this, like surrender to the world and myself. I'm like, I'm done fighting, because I was just fighting. I was fighting things that existed, things that didn't exist, things within myself. And all I had to do was like cease fighting, and that was the answer. I couldn't come to that conclusion by myself. I had to like have help from other people.
That's beautiful, man.
Thanks. Yeah. Anybody out there is struggling, just keep trying, keep attempting, can reach out to me, because it took me a long time. Like this, I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to get sober, and I got sober. Like there's a lot, a lot. But I think that like in all different like careers, it's taboo, people don't talk about it very much. But I think I have a lot of friends that are artists that struggle with substance abuse, and it's just, yeah, it's just what it is, and it's intense. Yeah, I don't know. It's all part of it, though.
Yeah, and I think it's important that you share. I'm glad you shared. I really am, because I always think, when we put stuff out, on the podcast or in the air, somebody else needs to hear the story, and it's going to impact somebody. It's going to make somebody make a decision that they were struggling with, and so thank you so much for sharing that, because I truly do believe that there's a reason why we have these discussions, and I think there's people out there that need to hear it, and your story will inspire somebody to maybe seek help or whatever. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for giving me the platform. And yeah.
Anything else that you'd like to talk about today, or you want to promote that you have coming up? I know you have the show in August. You have your show in Austin. Give us the details on that, how long that runs and where it's at and all that.
It's at Collab Projects in Austin. It's a nonprofit gallery. They do really great work, and I think it's only open on Saturdays though, because it's community run, or it's run by like 4 different people. I don't know if that one has an end date yet. I think that if you want to follow, I think it's Collab Projects ATX. We're talking about doing events maybe during the exhibition and then a closing reception. Which I think that would be great. Yeah, it didn't rain on the opening. We thought it was going to rain. We thought it was just going to be like kind of done, but the weather held out. So with that, and gonna have that show. I don't know Laura Burke, but I love her work, their work. I'm not sure. And the gallery, they show both of us, so we get to join forces and make that show happen. And what else? I think, yeah, life is good. I kind of feel like I want us to be able to just like walk out and go get coffee right now, like us three. But I know that we can't do that. But there's something about it to where I'm like, yeah, let's go get some lunch. But
that would be awesome. I'd love that.
Yeah.
Well, if you're ever back in our area, if you're in South Dakota, in the Black Hills area, if you ever tootling through with your RV, reach out. Love to have coffee, have lunch, spend some time with you. And I know Todd feels the same way. If you're ever in Denver, reach out. And if Todd lets me know you're going to be in Denver, and maybe I'll try to swing down. We can all three go have coffee.
Yeah, I have a bunch of paintings I need to rescue from Denver.
There we go. We'll go together. We'll make it a team effort to rescue them.
Gosh. Yeah, there's some gotta go find them. Yeah. Thank you so much for having interest in me and my work and having me on so we can talk, and now this thing exists, out there.
I've enjoyed this. I've absolutely enjoyed this conversation. You've made me rethink a few things, and I'm going to have the joy of listening to this again in the editing process and probably multiple times after this. So thanks again. I love the way your brain works. I love the stuff that we talked about today, and I've just had a great time. Thanks.
I've had a really great time. Yeah, this has been wonderful.
Yeah, it was enlightening, educational, and it was really nice to just spend time with you and, really have a real conversation about your work, your process, and things that you have going on, man. So thank you so much for, spending a few hours with us and giving us that opportunity.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Again, follow Mick on Instagram at Mick Burson and check out his work at his website, mickburson.com. Look for all this info and more in this week's episode notes for the Tenant Podcast. I'm Todd Pearson.
And I'm Wes Brown.
Have a great week.